team, talk about some of the issues that I've got, and then once we've potentially done that, then we'll move on to answering some of your questions. Does that sound good? It does. You can't answer that anyway, but does it sound good? Yeah, it sounds good. Let's have a look at my team then. So here is where I'm currently at. If you did miss my team selection video, I am ranked 31k at the moment, or 31,420. Yeah, 420. And I think that's a really good start to the season, to be honest. I think rank doesn't really matter at the moment, but obviously total points do, and having a good start is never a bad thing. So we're on I think it's 371 points, 31k. I think it's a very decent start to the season. But I do want to kick on now, and I feel like this week there's maybe like 3 or 4 key decisions that have to be made where if I get them wrong, I could fall. If I get them right, I could push up even higher. So, I mean, just to talk you through the 3 things that I still need to decide and I'm still yet to confirm. Ramsdale, do I take him out? I'm almost certain I'm going to. And if I do take him out, who do I bring in for Ramsdale? So that's the first one. The second one is benching headache. As you can see at the moment, I've actually got Harrison and Estepinian. There we go. Got it the second time. Estepinian and Harrison on the bench. I don't really want to bench either of them. They were actually both my transfers in last week, and they've both got really good fixtures. But if I am to play Harrison and Estepinian, it probably would mean I'd have to take out Trippier and Williams. So I've basically got those 4 players: Trippier, Williams, Harrison, and Estepinian. I've got to start 2 of those. So that's a big decision for me. Which of those 2 do I start? And then I guess the final thing is captaincy. So do I captain Haaland or do I captain Salah? For me and my team, that's the only decision. I think the only way I would captain anyone outside of Haaland and Salah is probably if I own De Bruyne. I would captain De Bruyne this week. So if you own De Bruyne, I'm not saying you definitely have to, but I would probably captain De Bruyne if I owned him, just because he got a rest, obviously, in midweek, so he's definitely going to start, you would assume, unless there was some sort of injury we weren't told about, but he came off the bench, looked fine. So I would feel fairly comfortable starting, captaining De Bruyne this week. And maybe Harry Kane. Maybe Harry Kane if you fancy it. But realistically, I think it's probably between Salah and Haaland for most people. So at the moment, captaincy, I'm on Haaland for now. We're going to discuss that in more detail in a second. For the benching, at the moment, I'm starting Trippier and Williams, benching Harrison and Estepinian, which I don't particularly like. And then with respect to keepers, basically, it depends who I want to start. So if we just go to transfers, I've got a couple of choices. I can start Trippier, bench Estepinian, and then bring in Sanchez. Because if I just go back to pick team, if I do that, I would be covering the Williams clean sheet. I'd be covering Trippier, so the Newcastle clean sheet. And if I bring in Sanchez, yes, I've still got Estepinian on the bench, and he's obviously got some attacking threat. But if Brighton do keep a clean sheet, it softens the blow a little bit because I've got Sanchez in. And also just for the next 3 fixtures for Brighton and Estepinian, they're actually pretty decent. Leicester at home, Bournemouth away, Crystal Palace at home. So, and remember, I'm looking to wildcard in game week 9 here. So I think at the moment, because I'm planning on benching Estepinian, I'm thinking Sanchez is most likely. The other option I've got, though, is I could actually bench Trippier, start Estepinian, or start Harrison, and I can actually bring in Nick Pope. So in the same way, I'm basically covering the Newcastle clean sheet with Pope, and I'm covering the Brighton clean sheet with Estepinian. So that is going to be the first poll of the stream. Just a little bit of help with me, if you can. Which combo do you prefer? It's essentially covering the same thing, to be honest. How do I spell that? Estepinian, and then Sanchez and Trippier. Let me know. I've just put a poll in the chat. It's basically still, like I said, it's covering Brighton defence and it's covering Newcastle defence. It's just which combo. Obviously, the slightly cheaper combo, i.e. I'm not spending as much on a keeper, would be Sanchez, right? So if I want to go cheaper, I would just go for Sanchez. I'd start Trippier. But I just think Estepinian's a pretty cheeky pick. And obviously, Pope will probably make more saves than Sanchez. Sanchez just doesn't make a lot of saves, whereas I do think there's a reasonable chance that obviously Pope makes a few saves there. The thing is, though, obviously Trippier's on a lot of set pieces. I think at the moment, if I were forced to make a decision, I would keep the team exactly how it is, and I would be doing Ramsdale to Sanchez. So that's what we're currently looking at with my team, guys. If you have any advice or anything you want to help me with, do feel free to do so. By the way, welcome to the 1,100 people already watching live. Thank you very much. If you are watching this, please do drop a like, because it basically pushes the stream out to other people. So we've only been streaming for 10 minutes. The more people that like the stream now, the more people that come and watch the stream, because YouTube will push it out to other people. So I do really appreciate if you could drop a like on the stream. Morning, Ross. Is this a good week to roll a transfer? Only potential transfers are Kuka or Harrison. I think if you can get away with rolling a transfer and you can't see an obvious transfer, then I would absolutely roll, because we've got the Champions League midweek. So there's a good chance that you might want to react to something happening, either injuries, rotation, things that we're surprised about in the Champions League. So I think if you can get away with rolling a transfer this week, this goes for pretty much everyone. Yeah, I would probably do so. I mean, I could probably get away with rolling a transfer. I could just start Ramsdale against Manchester United. Maybe that's the play. Maybe I don't remove Ramsdale. But I do look at my team for next week, which we'll do in a second. And I don't necessarily think I don't need a transfer next week. Even if I do have a random issue, like an injury, I can either use my free transfer that I'll have, because remember, you still get a free transfer every week, or I could just play someone off my bench. So that's the only reason I'm tempted to just get rid of Ramsdale now. I don't think it's a great fixture. I'm not convinced by the Arsenal defence. And maybe getting a slightly cheaper Sanchez or switch to a Pope. I know the other option that everyone's very keen on is probably Henderson. The only reason I'm not necessarily that keen on Henderson is the fixtures for Nottingham Forest. It's Bournemouth, right? I do like the Bournemouth fixture this week, but I've got Nico Williams in my starting 11. It's then Leeds and Fulham, and then I'm wildcarding in 9. I can't see a world in which Forest keep a clean sheet against Leeds or Fulham. Leeds and Fulham actually look pretty decent going forward. And even to some extent, Bournemouth. I've spoken to a few Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth fans. Bournemouth tend to do fairly well against the likes of Nottingham Forest. I think they did a job on them last season. And this, by all accounts, this is a fixture which Bournemouth will look at and think, we need to get something here. That doesn't necessarily mean they are, right? If every time you wanted to win, you won, then everyone would win the league. But they have to get something here. So I actually think this could be a slightly tighter game than we're anticipating. And whilst I have been impressed by some aspects of Forest, their defence is not an aspect which I've been particularly impressed by. So I don't mind taking a bit of a punt by starting Nico Williams this week. But when I look at those three fixtures, I can't see more than one clean sheet in there for Henderson. And he does make a lot of saves, yes. But maybe would you predict him to make slightly less saves against these teams than he would against the likes of like a Man City, Chelsea, etc. So that's my current thought process. That's why I'm not currently considering Henderson. And realistically, at the moment, if I'm to bring in a keeper, it would be Pope or Sanchez. I've got Stephen with a highlighted message says, hi Ross, would you go Robertson to Trippier this week and use funds to upgrade Rodrigo next week, or hold the transfer and just make 2 next week? I think I would just make 2 next week. I don't necessarily think that... I do think there's a chance that obviously Liverpool concede, but in a straight shootout between Robertson against Everton or Trippier against Palace, I'd probably lean towards just keeping Robert. And the thing is, next week, something might happen where you don't want to go for Trippier or you want to mix it up slightly. So I would probably just roll. It gives you an extra week of information. It gives you the opportunity to maybe move to someone else if you want to, or change up your transfer plan. So yeah, I'd roll Stephen in that situation. Good morning, FPL Raptors, a legend with these early streams. Yeah, I do like starting a little bit early. It just eases us in. I think if you start too late, it can be a little bit stressful, but we've got plenty of time. Hour, 45 minutes till the deadline. Plenty of time to answer as many of your questions as we can. Is Rodrigo to Zaha a good transfer or role? Got Nico Williams on the bench. Yeah, I like Rodrigo to Zaha, but I guess that's for free, I assume, which I don't mind. But Nico Williams, could he outscore Zaha this week? Absolutely. Of course he could. So I don't mind just playing Nico Williams, to be fair. Got the highlighted message from Vigard. What about Gundogan? I have him in my team. Yeah, I don't mind Gundogan at all. There's obviously a chance he's benched, as with pretty much every City player ever. I wouldn't captain him if that's the question, but I wouldn't take him out. I'd just basically start him, would be my thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on captaining Kane? Yeah, as far as I know, let's have a double check of this quickly. As far as I know, last time I checked, Fulham were actually bottom for expected goals conceded. It's that one I want to go to. So we just go to the Opta statistics on Fantasy Football Hub, and if we just sort it by teams and then expected goals conceded. Okay, they're not bottom anymore, now it's updated. So you're not quite going to be able to see that. But basically, Fulham are 4th bottom for expected goals conceded. So Fulham have conceded 9.1 expected goals. So I think by all accounts, Kane's a decent captaincy shout. He's obviously putting up okay data. I think I've been very impressed with Fulham from an attacking perspective, although their expected goals aren't that high. But where are they? Yeah, I mean, they're pretty decent. They're like sort of 7th or 8th for expected goals. So I think Fulham are great going forward. I think Mitrovic always looks like he's going to score. I'm less convinced by them defensively. So we'll talk about my predictions in a bit. I would predict that game to be like 3-2, 4-2 to Spurs. I think there's going to be a lot of goals going both ways. So yeah, I don't mind Kane captaincy at all. As you can see though, the two teams to target is going to be especially Forest. Like Forest's expected goals are absolutely woeful. I mean, they have played Man City and just lost 6-0. And then as you can see, interestingly, Newcastle were like right at the bottom. But again, they've played Liverpool and City. So that is going to be skewed slightly. And they did concede a lot of chances in both those games. Maybe I don't start Trippier. My gut feeling a little bit is that Newcastle are actually going to concede. But do I want to back against the Newcastle clean sheet over a random gut feeling? When generally speaking, in games such as against Palace, when they're not playing those big teams, their expected goals conceded doesn't tend to be that bad. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. But it's a tricky one. I think either way, a lot of us are going to be leaving points on our bench this week. I think we just got to accept that. Got a super chat from London is Blues, says Sterling versus De Bruyne versus Haaland captaincy, and I'm selling De Bruyne next week. So should I go Zaha and Mitrovic or Diaz and Mitrovic? I would be very, very tempted if I had De Bruyne to captain De Bruyne. So I would just about lean towards De Bruyne captaincy. And I would probably be leaning towards Zaha and Mitrovic just due to the fact that the fixtures are about to swing in favour of Palace and out of favour for Diaz. So my answer to that would be De Bruyne captain and Zaha and Mitrovic. Got a couple of other super chats. Keep Nico instead in case of a haul or keeping Mitrovic on. I would start Mitrovic. I think there's a good chance Fulham grab a couple of goals there. And as always, as you would expect, any time that Fulham score, there's a very good chance that Mitrovic is either getting both of them or involved in both of them with an assist. So I would personally be starting Mitrovic ahead of Nico Williams. But I mean, ideally, you try and start both. But we're going to have benching headaches this week either way. Ramsdale, Perisic, Rodrigo to Sanchez, Nico, Diaz for a -4. I feel like you maybe don't need to make all of those moves this week unless you've got absolutely no bench going on there. I feel like you could maybe make 2 of them and save the hit. But generally speaking, yeah, I prefer Sanchez, Nico and Diaz to the 3 that you've mentioned, especially considering Rodrigo's injured and Perisic looks like he'll be benched. Is Haaland captaincy locked in? No, Haaland captaincy's not locked in. We'll have a bit of a discussion about that in a second. Is it worth swapping Diaz for Nico? No, not for me. Not for me. Unless you're going to use those funds this week to do something else, then maybe. I just think that City clean sheet's always fairly likely. And Villa have looked a little bit blunt in attack. Good morning, Ross. Great stream so far. Thank you, Johan. I appreciate that. Who do you think is the best Rodrigo replacement? I've been thinking about players like Gundogan, Zaha, and Harrison. Yeah, let's have a bit of a discussion about that. I know a lot of people maybe still have Rodrigo. I think for me, having thought about it, I did put a tweet out yesterday, but I've had to think since then. I think my top 3 replacements would be, in order probably, Trossard at the top. I just think Trossard's a really good player. I think he's been pushed, now that obviously they've signed Estepinian, I think that Trossard's going to be pushed further forward. And I think he's had something like 10 shots in the box or something ridiculous. He's been popping up in the box a lot. I think he's playing more advanced than Pascal Gross. So for me, Trossard would be the top replacement. After that, I actually really like the look of Sinistera. And a lot of Leeds fans seem to think he's fairly nailed at the moment. So maybe Trossard, Sinistera. And then after that, I'd probably still go Pascal Gross. I mean, he's got an 11-pointer, a 15-pointer, a 6-pointer. He's still putting up decent data. He's still getting touches in the box. He's still on a lot of set pieces. Yes, it's frustrating that he's not on penalties, but I still think he's a decent shout. So I would probably go Trossard, Sinistera, Gross. I don't mind Aronson and Harrison. I don't mind Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't mind... Who else have we got? Like, if you can get to Zaha, absolutely. But I know a lot of people won't obviously have any money in the bank. Yeah, I'd probably say those guys there. Trossard, Sinistera, Gross, Harrison, Aronson, Zaha. I think you've got a few decent options there. I think just the 2 exciting picks that are going to be fairly lowly owned, though, are going to be Sinistera and Trossard. So I would probably lean that way there, if I were forced to. But again, I don't own Rodrigo, so it's difficult for me to say definitely what I would do. By the way, how cool is it that we've got 10 million managers, or probably not 10 million managers, 10 million teams. Let's say 10 million teams, but that's pretty cool. 10 million teams registered for FPL this year. We might even hit 11 million. I assume we will hit 11 million. Missed my super chat. Did I miss your super chat? Let me have a look. Sorry, the chat's moving very quickly. I can't see your super chat. I'll look out for your name, just in case I did. Cash Studio says, best £6 million mid other than Andreas for the next 3 game weeks. There you go, I just answered your question for you. I know that, I suppose they're not 6 million, are they? Still probably Pascal Gross. Outside of that, maybe Gibbs White. The reason we're talking about Gibbs White a lot is, let's just have a look at their fixtures here. It's for the next 3 for Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham. So whilst I said that I don't necessarily think that you're going to get a clean sheet from Henderson necessarily against Leeds and Fulham, I still think that goals are probably there for Forest. And due to the fact that they are quite poor defensively, they're going to have to score goals. So like, I don't mind Gibbs White in there. The other player that I really kind of want, and I think it's a really good option, it's just, obviously it would require you to maybe like restructure your team. And he's obviously 5.9, is Brennan Johnson. He's played 90 minutes in every game apart from the City one. My opinion on this, and obviously I wouldn't know 100%, is that he was brought off because the game was done and they want to just save him and make sure that he didn't get injured, because I think he's very important to their team. And he's obviously the one that's getting into the box a lot. He's their goal scorer. So I do like Gibbs White, but I also like Brennan Johnson as well there as an option. Is Gibbs White still 5.5? Yeah, so Gibbs White's the other option. I think he'll play the majority of minutes. You can see here, he played 57 again. I think, again, Gibbs White looked good. I think he was brought off early just to save him for future games. So I'd maybe be tempted by one of those two. If not, Pascal Gross is still a good option, I think. Oh, I hate looking at that bench. I hate looking at that bench. It does not look pretty for this week, does it? Yeah, FPL Pot Noodle said I brought in Gibbs White ready for 3 back-to-back hat tricks. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Don't want to brag, but 10 million managers puts me in the top 25%. Check you out. Saint Ledger, check you out. Sell Walker and Patterson for Dallo and Botman next game. Next game. So you're saying you're not doing that this week, you're doing that next week. Yeah, I don't mind that, I suppose. Obviously, Walker's got Tottenham. Who do Manchester United have next week? We've got Palace and Botman. Yeah, I don't mind that. It feels a little bit like I feel like that's a very like low upside. I feel like that's just a bit, not a boring set of transfers, but I feel like there are maybe ways to attack it slightly better, but it's up to you. Like, I don't dislike those transfers at all. Why has that done that? Let's drag that over. Yeah, I'm really not sure on captaincy as well. I'm still not 100% set on Haaland captain. I've got. Right, let's talk about captaincy then. Right, let's end this poll. A lot of you think Sanchez and Trippier, so I'm almost definitely going to. That was my thought anyway. So I'm almost definitely going to be doing Ramsdale to Sanchez, and that allows me to cover the Brighton clean sheet. So that means that Estepinian will definitely be benched. So basically, my final decision is Harrison to start instead of one of Trippier or Nico Williams. Yeah, we're going to do a poll on captaincy now. We're going to discuss captaincy. I just need to do these 2 super chats before I miss them. Play Rashford or Aronson, or sell one of them and play the new player. 1.8 million in the bank replacement suggestions for either. I'd play Aronson or Rashi. I don't think you necessarily need to take out Rashford or Aronson. If I were to, I'd maybe take out Rashford for Zaha and just go for Zaha. A lot of people saying I've missed super chats. I'm not deliberately missing super chats. I'm very, very sorry if I have. I'm not asking you to donate more, but if you donate a certain amount, it stays at the top for me. It's virtually impossible for me to miss it. The only ones that I tend to miss are like the £2 super chats because they don't highlight them for me. So I have to see it when I'm scrolling. that isn't suggesting that you should donate more than that. It's just explaining that the slightly less money super chats, it just flies away very quickly. Morning, Ross. I hope you're well. I'm good, thank you, Liam. Any word about Martinelli benching this week? I haven't heard anything like that, but I think at some point, yeah, Martinelli could very easily be benched. He started every game this season, so yeah, especially with the European football coming, I think there's a reasonable chance that we see a Martinelli benching very soon. But I think that's maybe something to consider for the wildcard. I'm definitely not going to sell him. You almost look ready for a bench boost. It does look very close to a bench boost, doesn't it? It's just Stansfield and Ward. If I had slightly better players there, I'd be tempted. Bench 2 of Estepinian, Tony, Gross, Trossard, Martinelli. I would bench... Probably Estepinian would be 1. Then maybe one of Gross or Trossard. Or Martinelli. I wouldn't bench Tony this week. I probably wouldn't bench Trossard. I guess one of Gross or Martinelli would be others. That's a horrible position to be in, though. You look like you're in a position to maybe bench boost as well. Cucurella or Perisic to Trippier for a -4. Already done Rodrigo to Gross, but afraid Cucurella could get rested this game week whilst Perisic plays City next week. By all accounts, most of the Chelsea forums that I've seen and the journalists are all predicting a Cucurella start. So I would probably go Perisic to Trippier, but I'm not necessarily sure I like that for a hit. It depends what your bench looks like, Neil. If you've got someone on your bench that can come in, I think it's fine. If not, I would probably prefer to take out Perisic than I would Cucurella. Would be my opinion on that. But that's not an easy decision, to be honest. Sorry, I'm going to discuss captaincy in 2 seconds. Just got to do a few of these. Use my free hit. I'm taking a big risk. Alvarez in, Haaland out. So risky, I know. I'm nervous. It is a big risk. I'll be honest. If I were free hitting, I would probably have Alvarez and Haaland. I'm not sure I would back against the Haaland benching. But I like the Alvarez pick. I think there's a very good chance Alvarez starts again. It's just up to you if you want to risk the Haaland out. Free hit could work nicely this week. A lot of teams don't look perfect for this week, so there are definitely worse weeks to free hit, but I tend to save my free hit for later in the season. Out of Trent, Cancelo, Trippier, James, and Saliba, who should I bench? I would bench Saliba out of all of those, closely followed by Trippier. But yeah, I'd bench Saliba. Just back Manchester United to score at Old Trafford, I think. Got a super chat from Jay. Thank you very much. Hey, transferred out Ramsdale, Perisic, Reed for Sanchez, Gross, Fofana, -4. Fofana will go up in price in a few weeks, right? Yeah, I expect Fofana to be up at sort of 4.7, 4.8 very soon. I mean, you've got a Chelsea centre-back for 4.4. It's ridiculous. I plan to transfer in Trippier for Cucurella next week. Played this well or nah? Yeah, that sounds perfect to me, to be honest. Ramsdale, Perisic, and Reed, all three of those, I don't think are great options. Obviously, Sanchez, Gross, and Fofana, all fantastic options, and you're getting ahead of the curve on Fofana. Yeah, I think you've played that perfectly, Jay. Absolutely no issues with any of that. Hey, Ross, Edison to Sanchez, Perisic to Nico, Murphy to Sinistera for a -4. It's hard to disagree with any of those moves, to be fair. I'm obviously not a massive fan of Edison Sanchez, but the fact that it allows you to get Perisic to Nico and then Murphy to Sinistera, yeah, I don't dislike any of that. I wonder, can you afford to keep Edison? I don't necessarily like taking a hit, especially when it involves taking a keeper out, especially when it's a keeper as good as Edison. I don't dislike that, though. I think that's a fine set of moves there. Right, captaincy. So my current opinion on it, if you were to ask me now, and I know this is going to sound strange when you see my team, I think Haaland is going to be benched. That's my opinion on it. Having thought about it, I think there's a very, very good chance. I would say I'm 70% sure, not confident. I believe to some extent, to 70% extent, I believe Haaland will be benched. However, I am not a psychic, and I will acknowledge that I am not perfect when it comes to predictions. And sometimes, if you're seeing a lot of people that are Manchester City fans, Manchester City journalists, people that regularly predict the Manchester City lineups, then all saying that Haaland has a good chance of starting, then maybe you realise that you could be wrong on this occasion. I think this is very important as an FPL manager, is realising that you will not be right every single time. Last week, I was very confident. Last week, I was happy backing against anyone. I said I'm confident in a Haaland start. This week, I'm not. This week, if I had to guess, I would say Haaland will be benched. However, I've seen so many people predicting a Haaland start from people that I trust and people that tend to predict fairly accurately, that I'm going to still probably captain Haaland. Someone's just said, just say you're scared of effective ownership, Ross. Genuinely not even remotely scared of effective ownership, because this is the thing that I think is worth mentioning. A lot of people are talking about effective ownership at the moment. And what effective ownership is it basically is ownership plus captaincy. So if, say, 100% of people own Haaland and every single one of those captain him, Haaland's effective ownership is 200%. What that means is if you own Haaland but you don't captain him, you're going to lose rank because everyone owns him and everyone captains him. So this is why, despite owning Haaland, if he smashed it last week, your rank would have gone down. So a lot of people are saying just captain Haaland because more people have captained him. But what you've got to realize is the top 10K effective ownership at the moment, all of their chips, they're probably making like loads of risky decisions. And across the season, the players that are in the top 10K, a lot of them might drop out slightly. And a lot of the players that aren't will come up. So when you look at actually the Elite 1000, which I think FPL review track, the Elite 1000 last week was pretty much a 50-50 split between Saka and Haaland. So I actually don't genuinely believe... sorry, someone just said audio cut out. I do apologise. Hopefully it's back. I genuinely don't believe that Haaland will be that much higher captain than Salah amongst the elite managers. So basically, putting that all together, I guess my thought process behind it is if I'm not 100% confident of a Haaland benching, and if Haaland starts, I believe he's a better captaincy option than Salah, I captain Haaland. And if Haaland comes on for 20 minutes, he can do damage. And if he doesn't feature at all, I get Harrison off the bench and I get Salah captaincy. So I basically don't think there's a lot of negatives or risks associated with captaining Haaland this week necessarily. Hopefully that makes sense. A few people said my audio cut out midway through the explanation. Hopefully you still got the general gist there. I shall do a poll. Captaincy poll. Game week 6. Haaland against Aston Villa. We've got Salah against Everton. By the way, if you're one of the 2,500 people watching and you have not yet liked the stream, please drop a like and also make sure to subscribe as well. We do these weekly deadline streams. There's loads of content throughout the week, usually at least 4 pieces of content. So if you are one of the 2,500 people watching and you have not yet liked and subscribed, please do consider doing so. I'm just going to then just go other, and then I'll just say comment. There we go. There is now a poll in the chat. Please do vote on the poll. We want to get as many votes as possible. As many votes as possible. Neil says, I'm a City fan. Haaland starts. Pep suggested. Perisic versus Harrison. Yeah, let's have a look at all of that stuff quickly now, right? There is a poll in the chat. Please do vote on the poll for your captaincy. Let's switch over to Twitter. So, first thing to note is Paul O'Keefe. If you've not yet followed my deadline streams and you're not necessarily on Twitter or you've just not been paying attention, every single week, Paul O'Keefe does something that he calls Predict Conte. Now, he seems adamant, as you can see in the comments, that it is a prediction. He has no inside knowledge, but in previous years, especially when COVID was around, especially when there's been like rescheduling, he always seems to get early news. As far as we know, he has good sources at the club. And for the first 5 game weeks, he's got 11 out of 11 every single week. Yes, you can say that's maybe easy to predict. I don't think it necessarily is, especially when there's been like injuries to the back line, especially when you're looking at maybe like Romero coming straight back into the starting 11. Here, he's benched Son. He's predicted Son and Perisic to be benched. So if he gets this right again, I think it's safe to say that he's not predicting it and that maybe he's just like covering his back by saying he's predicting it. But so he's got the first 55 players right for the first 5 game weeks. And now he's predicting that Perisic is benched and Son is benched for Sessegnon and Richarlison. So I would feel comfortable, in my opinion, having seen this from Paul O'Keefe, to sell or bench Perisic. But this is not my news. Obviously take it with a pinch of salt. If you don't want to trust this, maybe feel free to start Perisic. But that's something to note. And then the other thing to note, by the way, guys, do follow me. I'll put my Twitter in the chat. We are only about 500 followers away from 50,000. There have got to be 500 people that are currently watching this that have not yet followed my Twitter. Let's get to 50,000 followers on Twitter in the stream. Go follow me over on Twitter. But yeah, there was... Let me find this. There was... This is the best Pep meme, by the way. This is the best Pep meme. Where is it? Here it is. This was Pep's quote. So Pep said, Obviously, he's 22, recovers well. When he's 32, more difficult. 22, not a problem. So, I mean, let's find the rest of it, because there were some more quotes in there. Essentially, he a lot of people are saying that he basically said in his press conference that he's going to start Haaland. I didn't see anything even remotely that certain. But what he did is obviously highlight how good Haaland is and highlight the fact that at the moment he doesn't necessarily need a rest. So he's done this before, though. Pep does this with Manchester City players. He'll highlight how good someone is. He'll say, do you remember, like, previously in the previous seasons, he says, like, Riyad Mahrez doesn't have any muscles, so he never needs a rest. I think that was his exact quote. He basically said, Mahrez has no muscles, so he never gets fatigued, doesn't need a rest. I remember him saying that at some point. I think it might be in the season before last. And then he went on to bench Mahrez like 6 games in a row. I'm obviously not saying he's going to bench Haaland repeatedly, and it's a completely different story here. But what I'm saying is Pep does have a reputation for saying things in his press conference and then going directly against that in the games. So, where is it? There were more quotes on Haaland. I'm struggling to find them now. Maybe it was before that. Yeah, there was lots of quotes about Haaland here. I don't think there were too many more, though, on like his injury. Basically, it looks like he's going to start. It looks like he's going to start. If we have a look at Jump the Wave's predictions, by the way, follow Emma Jump the Wave on Twitter. She does predictions for City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Spurs, I think it is the main teams, and Arsenal. Basically does it for all like the top 6 sides. I just want to find her Manchester City predictions. So at the moment, out of the Manchester City predictors, they've got everyone apart from 2. So there are 28 predictors. 2 of them have said Haaland doesn't start. 26 have said that he does. So basically, most people think that Haaland's going to start. But you do have people such as, if we just have a look on, is his name? Is it FPL Quicksilver? Is he the one that does it? What's his name? I can't remember his exact name. I can't remember. Luke would have probably highlighted him. So Luke, I think Luke is predicting a Haaland start. So this was Luke. So Luke's another person that predicts Manchester City lineups. If you want to follow this, it's FFScout_Luke. I'm sure you guys know Luke already. He's predicting a Haaland start. But I think it's something like FPL Quicksilver has predicted that he's going to be benched. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's Quick without the C. So this is another FPL account that does Manchester City predictions. He's predicted a Haaland benching. And then there's another account that also does very similar, also predicted a Haaland benching. So I guess what I'm saying is most people seem to be saying that Haaland's going to start. But I think that we're less sure in Game Week 6 than we were in Game Week 5. So I think it's up to you what you want to do with it. But for me, I'm not 100% confident this week on it. Right, I'm sure I would have missed a few things in the chat. Sorry. Fayad has become a Wrap Tier 1 member. Thank you very much. Drop me a message on Twitter or Discord, and I'll get you added to our Discord chat and also to our private mini league as well. You sent me a DM on Twitter. Cool, I will check that. So, yeah, I don't think it's an easy decision, basically, Salah versus Haaland this week. At the moment, I'm on Haaland, but I could quite easily switch to Salah at some point, and that will be something that we need to think about and consider. And benching headaches is the other one that we're absolutely not sure on. Right, let me answer some of your questions. Who's the best Leeds attacker? For safety of starts, it would probably be Harrison or Aronson, but I do think that Sinisterra is a very exciting pick. I do think he's a very exciting pick. Let's have a look on Fantasy Football Hub quickly. If we just select Aronson, Harrison, and Sinisterra. By the way, there is a link in the description to Fantasy Football Hub. 30% off if you've used the link in the description. I think it's £2.10 per month for the cheapest one, and you get access to most of the tools that I'm using here. So if we do let's do per start. Yeah, let's do per start. Expected goal involvement is, so by all accounts, the data would suggest that Harrison has the best underlying data. then quite a drop off to Aronson and Sinistera. So if you're going by data, Harrison, if you're going by probably expected minutes, Aronson, if you're going by passing the eye test and being an exciting pick, you're maybe thinking about probably Sinistera. So it depends of those three what you value the most. I probably value underlying data, so I guess Harrison would still be my pick. So at the moment, I've got actually Nico Williams in there. So let's save the plan there. So if I make the Ramsdale to Sanchez switch, right, I've got Sanchez in here. That's the switch that I'm currently planning. Like I said, I cover the Brighton clean sheet, I cover the Trippier clean sheet, and I cover Nico Williams, who I think will be started by a lot of people this week. It does mean that I have to bench Harrison and Estepinian, but you can't have everyone, I guess. That does leave me with a team rating of only 80 to 89% now and a game week rating of 80%. That is predominantly because Fantasy Football Hub are not backing Haaland captaincy. So Fantasy Football Hub have Haaland at projected points of 5.4. They've got Salah all the way up at 8.2. So the Fantasy Football Hub algo is massively favouring Salah here. I assume that's due to expected minutes. If we go forward to game week 7 then, and if we optimise the team, Fantasy Football Hub will optimise the team for you. So I've got double Brighton defence against Bournemouth, which is nice. Sanchez and Estepinian against Bournemouth. I've then got, obviously, Harrison coming in against Nottingham Forest at home. I've got Pascal Gross against Bournemouth again. And I mean, on my bench, I've still got Trippier against West Ham and Nico Williams against Leeds. So the current plan is, unless something crops up in the UCL that forces me to make a move, is I'll probably roll the transfer in game week 7. So I'll do Ramsdale to Sanchez in game week 6. I'll roll the transfer in game week 7. And that pushes me into game week 8 with 2 free transfers. And obviously then I'm planning a wild card in game week 9. So here I would have 2 1-week punts. If we just optimise the team again, because I'll probably bring in Trippier against Bournemouth. Estepinian I've got against Crystal Palace again. I've even got the options of Nico Williams against Fulham. I can play Harrison against Manchester United. But most likely at this point, I would take 2 1-week punts. So I'd have 2 free transfers. I'd have 0.6 million in the bank. And I'd take, like I said, a couple of punts. Maybe bring in, I think Spurs have a decent fixture this week. Who do Spurs have? Is it Leicester? Yeah, Spurs have Leicester. Manchester United have Leeds. So maybe I'd bring in like a Kulusevski for a Diaz, or I could bring in like a Sancho or an Antony for Diaz. Maybe I could take out Trent for Perisic if he looks like he's going to start. So I think I have a few options there. And then in game week 9, I plan on wildcarding because there's a lot of fixture swings for a lot of sort of the players in my team. For example, Brighton's fixtures turn for the worst. Arsenal's fixtures turn for the worst. I don't think they've got a couple of decent fixtures, but Newcastle's fixtures turn for the worst. So at this stage, I plan on wildcarding in game week 9. So that's sort of my rough plan for the next 3 weeks. But this is looking like how I'll go into to game week 6. Raptor, please answer Trent or Jesus. What's the question? To captain, is that? Or to start? I would start both, captain neither, is my answer. Is Darwin going to start? By all accounts, I think we've seen quite a few people suggesting that Firmino's going to get the nod again. So I would say no, Darwin doesn't start, but I think it'll be relatively close there. Diaz to James or Patterson to Williams / Fofana? Probably Patterson to Williams / Fofana, although James is obviously a fantastic option, especially if he's playing at right wing back. Thoughts on Bamford? I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. I spoke to a couple of Leeds fans there because I was interested in, obviously, Harrison. They think Bamford could only get 45 minutes, sort of a maximum of 60 minutes. He's not quite there to start and to play like more than that. So I reckon we could see Bamford on the bench, maybe Gelhardt starting. If we do see Bamford start, he's not going to get a massive amount of minutes. And obviously there's such a big chance he picks up an injury again. Che Adams differential before a game week 9 wildcard. What are the next few fixtures like for Southampton? Wolves, Brentford, Villa. I don't mind a Che Adams differential shout then. Not captaincy, differential transfer. I don't think they're great fixtures, though. I think there are maybe better shouts out there. Maybe like a Brennan Johnson. But I don't mind that, Riley. I think that's a decent shout. I've not seen a lot of people talking about Che Adams either. So I think definitely will be a decent shout for a differential transfer. Bench Martinelli for Harrison. I suppose you could. I suppose there's a small chance that I do that. I just think that Martinelli is probably the better asset, and I still don't completely trust the Manchester United defence. Would you keep Kevin De Bruyne or sell him for Salah? I would keep Kevin De Bruyne myself. Bench Dunk or Nico? Play Walker or Nico? I'd say Nico, Walker, Dunk. Zaha or Trossard to Rodrigo? I assume you mean in for Rodrigo. I like Trossard. I think a punt on Trossard could be really fun. Do you have any Darwin news? I don't have any Darwin news, no, but there was an account which suggested that Firmino would keep his place. So if we get anything, I'll let you know, but I think there's a reasonable chance that maybe Firmino keeps his place and maybe Darwin comes off the bench, then maybe starts in game week 7. I don't know that I would take the risk. Bench Mitrovic for Estepinian. No, I'd probably start Mitrovic still. I think Mitrovic just looks so good at the moment. Still on pens, obviously. I think Fulham will grab maybe a goal or two at least against Spurs, so I'd probably still play Mitrovic. Is Isak nailed for Palace? I think he should start, yes. I don't want to say nailed. He obviously picked up the dead leg, but he should be fine from that. So yeah, I would be fairly comfortable taking a punt on Isak. By the way, I loved your daily advice, daily life advice with Raptor. I appreciate that. I'm glad some people enjoy it. God knows how long that will go on for. I only have so much advice. Should I start Lingard or Walker? I'd start Lingard. If you're not going to start Lingard against Bournemouth at home, then there's no point really owning him. Do you think Robertson will be benched? I do not know. Do you know anything about Perisic? The only thing that I know about Perisic is what we've just spoken about, which is Paul O'Keefe, who's got the first 5 lineups exactly right, has said that Sessegnon will be starting ahead of Perisic. So take of that what you will. He calls it predict. He calls it a prediction. He calls it predict Conte. But he's been getting every single lineup right. He does it every single week. So I'm happy saying that Perisic will be benched. But he's also got Son being benched. So let's see. If he gets that right, then there's absolutely no chance. The thing is, the thing is that makes me think maybe he is genuinely predicting is in the comments he just seems so adamant that he's predicting. So we'll have to see. I think he's got inside knowledge, and I think that's the lineup. But we don't know for certain, I guess. Andrew says, thoughts on Kane captaincy? I have a threemium, so I also got Haaland and Salah, and I got the Haaland hat-trick last game week looking for a bit of a punt. I have absolutely no issue at all with that, mate. I think Kane captaincy could be a fantastic shout. Like I said, Fulham are towards the bottom of the table for expected goals conceded. I think there'll be a lot of goals in that game. I think Fulham will go all out. I think Spurs will go all out. So yeah, I don't mind Kane captaincy shout at all. Jesper says, hey, who to bench? Cucurella, Gross, or Nico? Thanks. Out of those, I would probably just about lean towards Nico, but you could bench Cucurella if you think he's going to be benched. I think if all of them start, Cucurella and Gross are the better two options. Kens says, hi mate, hope you are well. I'm all good, thank you, Kens. Given I already have Estepinian, would you do Ramsdale to Pope or Sanchez? Fancy playing Nico this week if this helps. I think if you don't have any Newcastle defensive cover, I do quite like Pope. I think Pope and Sanchez are equally good options for the next 3. But the fact that you've got Estepinian and maybe you're already starting him, maybe you hedge your bets. Maybe you go for Pope as well. But if you genuinely think Brighton are the better defence and you want to back Brighton, maybe go for the double up. The double up could be absolutely massive. I've just got a sneaky suspicion that Leicester score this week. I don't know why. Nothing other than just a bit of a prediction. Richarlison as a 1-week punt. I don't mind Richarlison as a 1-week punt, but unless you're wildcarding next week, then what are you going to do with him after that? Play Brennan Johnson or Trippier. I would play Brennan Johnson there. Reece James or Robertson on a free transfer. I'd go Reece James. Best goalkeeper to have until game week 9. I would say one of Sanchez or Pope. Do you think St. Maximan will play? I don't actually know what the latest news on St. Max was. Can someone in the chat let us know what the latest news on St. Max was? If he's fit, he absolutely starts. Right, if he's fit, he starts. What is he? They've still got him at 50%, but obviously FPL is not necessarily the most accurate for percentage chance of starting. I'll have a look in the chat what people are saying for you, Dino. You missed my super chat. I'm very sorry. Let me see if I can find it. I can't see another super chat that I've missed. I do apologise. I'll look out for your name then if I missed it. Morning, Ross. Who is the best Rashford replacement? 6.4 million or less, thinking gross right now. Yes, because Sinister and Trossard are both 6.5, right? So yeah, I would probably lean towards Pascal Gross or maybe Gibbs White if you want to go for a slightly puntier pick. Reece James in for Robertson on a free. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I do think Robertson's still a decent shout, but yeah, I don't mind getting into Reece James, especially as we think he's going to start right wing back. Why are you starting Trippier ahead of Estepinian? Surely Palace are better than Leicester. Yes, probably, but I'm going to bring in Ramsdale. And I think Trippier has a better attacking threat than Estepinian. So if I can cover the Brighton clean sheet with Sanchez, and I think Trippier is slightly more attacking, I think that the Trippier and Sanchez combination is probably the best shout for me. Any Ramsdale updates? No. Apparently he's been in training and apparently Arteta said he'll be assessed ahead of the game against Manchester United. By all accounts, I think there's a very good chance that Ramsdale plays. I don't really want Ramsdale anyway. Do you think Tomiyasu can be a good pick for a future 4.2? Is he 4.2 now, Tomiyasu? Has he gone down to 4.2? I thought he was 4.3. Wowza, yeah. Tomiyasu could be a great shout. The issue is the fixtures coming up aren't great. But yeah, I think he'll start getting starts sooner rather than later. I think I saw something that said Ben White might have been out injured. I think at some point, Tomiyasu will be excellent value, for sure. For sure. Chris says, good morning, bruv. Good morning. Good to see you. -4 Ramsdale to Sanchez, wildcarding in 9. No, I would not take a hit to take Ramsdale out. I don't like taking hits at all for keepers. So I would lean towards no, hope that Ramsdale plays and hope he keeps a clean sheet. I don't mind it for free, but not for a hit. Omkar, hey Ross, great content as always. Thank you very much. Says, have the same team except Gabriel Sanchez versus Trippier, Ramsdale. Thinking about Perisic, Bailey to Nico and Gross. Yes. Yeah, I like that a lot. Perisic, Bailey to Nico Gross. I have no issues with that. Hopefully that's for free. If it's for a hit, maybe I'm less keen on it. But if it's for free, I absolutely love that, Omkar. Very nice shout. Sam Harrison says, Zaha and Fofana or Mitrovic and Trippier on wildcard? That's a great question. Oh, that's an excellent question. What do we think, chat? If you were wildcarding now, would you have Zaha and Fofana or Mitrovic and Trippier? I think I would probably just about lean towards Zaha and Fofana, but I would want Mitrovic. So I would try and get Zaha, Fofana and Mitrovic and then maybe drop Trippier. The only reason I say maybe drop Trippier is just because the fixtures from game week 11 onwards aren't that great. So yes, they're nice hit. These are really nice set of fixtures though, aren't they? I don't know. That's a really tricky one. I'd ideally like all four, but if I had to choose, I'd probably go Zaha and Fofana, Sam. That's a really, really tricky decision. Wildcard's not easy at the moment. Love all the content, Ross. Would you start Nico ahead of Saliba? Thank you very much, Mr. Profit. Yes, I would start Nico ahead of Saliba. Absolutely. I think it's a better chance for a clean sheet, and Nico Williams has got much better underlying data than Saliba going forward. Play two of James, Cucurella, or Nico. I'd probably play James and Nico, and maybe just spread the risk a little bit rather than going double Chelsea defence. But I don't mind playing James and Cucurella. I would definitely obviously start James. So it would be one of Cucurella or Nico. I'd probably just about go James and Nico, because you've already got the Chelsea clean sheet covered. Are you keeping Ramsdale? No, I'm probably going to sell Ramsdale, and I'm looking probably at it being Sanchez at the moment. I'll probably do that transfer in a minute, to be honest. There's no point me waiting. I don't think anything's going to happen that would change my opinion on that. Does anyone know if Bernardo plays? I do not know, unfortunately. Sorry. But I would predict yes. Is Fantasy Football Hub influencing your Harrison benching? Not particularly, no. But if you enter it on any model, including Fantasy Football Hub, they all say to bench Harrison. Although a couple of them tell me to start Estepinian ahead of Nico Williams. Ross, do you have any plans to get Reece James? Not at the moment, no. Not at the moment. Have you seen Man City's poster? I don't pay any attention to that stuff. Don't pay any attention to that stuff. There's lots of times you see people be on the poster that aren't starting. Start Estepinian or Harrison. I would probably just about lean towards Harrison, but I think that's a pretty tricky one. The only reason I've got Harrison ahead of Estepinian on my bench is because I'm planning to bring in Sanchez. Start Nico or Estepinian. I'm just about leaning towards Nico myself. Guys, just a little quick plug. This isn't a sponsored section. Where is it? It's that one. We'll do predictions in a second. In the description, there is a link to fill out a questionnaire relating mental health and fantasy football. So during my PhD, I'm doing some research on the effect of fantasy football on mental health, both positive and negative, not necessarily just the negative aspects. We just want to have a better understanding about the relationship between fantasy football and our mental health and our emotions as well. So if you can it takes about 20 minutes-ish, can be as quick as 15 minutes, can take as long as half an hour. So set aside at some point this weekend, if you can, 20 to 30 minutes of your time to fill out our questionnaire on the effect of fantasy football on mental health. And we're doing a series of studies. We've already done 3 studies. One of those has been published already. You can read it now. That's the one on the screen at the moment. And yeah, we'd massively appreciate it. So if you're actively playing FPL and you could take 15 to 30 minutes of your time to fill out a questionnaire on the effect of fantasy football on mental health, would massively appreciate it. Link is in the description. Just a little quick plug there to say I would appreciate you guys doing that. Who won the poll? Yes, I mean, there's been 2,500 votes. So I'll leave it up for a bit longer. At the moment, 63% of the people watching are captain Haaland, 30% are captaining Salah, and 7% are captaining other. So by all accounts, looks like Haaland will dominate captaincy again. So if you want to go for the slightly safer pick for effective ownership, if ownership is something that drives your decision-making, it does look like Haaland will be the most captained one. Andre's in the chat. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Head of security is here. So behave yourselves. Ross, do you usually have your game week transfers planned out weeks in advance, or at least an idea of them? Depends at what point of the season. At the moment, no, not really. At the moment, no. Currently, I'm very, very open. I probably only plan like 1 week in advance. Normally, towards the back end of the season, I'll have a rough idea 2 or 3 weeks in advance, but I never plan out too much. So I think if you plan out too much, you can engage in like plan continuation bias, Semmelweis reflex, all of these cognitive biases where you get like locked into a plan. And I think as soon as you start getting locked into a plan in FPL, it becomes very tricky to get out of that, and you start to be very sort of narrow-minded. So that would be my opinion of it. I'd have a rough idea a couple of weeks in advance. I would have a good idea about what your team looks like maybe 4 to 6 weeks in advance, but I wouldn't really plan out transfers in too much detail. Are you writing your bachelor's thesis? No, I'm doing a PhD. I've done my bachelor's, I've done my master's. I'm currently doing a PhD, and I'm also a lecturer. So no, I've already done my bachelor's. This is not my bachelor's thesis. Do you know if Ramsdale will play? I don't know for sure, but I think there's a good chance he plays. Sorry for being late, security reasons that cannot be disclosed in public. That's absolutely fine, Andre, no worries. We've had a couple of mods in the chat anyway. Big up PhD, yeah, big up PhD. That's a lot of work, especially alongside creating 4 videos a week for FPL, but there we go. A lecturer in FPL. I have discussed FPL in a few of my lectures, but a lot of people don't play FPL. So if I start talking about FPL, I'm just going to get a lot of blank stares back at me, unfortunately. Your camera is due to die shortly. You are absolutely right, Ross. Honestly, you're probably I reckon in the next 3 minutes, the camera will go funny. Ross, why are you such a genius? I don't know that I am a genius, but thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Do your students ever ask for FPL tips? I've probably only been recognized. I think I've been recognized by like 7 or 8 students, and yes, they have asked for FPL tips. they come up to me at the end of a lecture and go, "Are you FPL Raptor?" And yes. It's worth noting that I've lectured like thousands of students, so 8 students isn't a massive amount in the overall scheme of things. But yeah, it's still pretty cool. Blowing cold air on your camera through my screen. Thank you very much, Soldier Boy. I appreciate that. Oh, there's a siren going past my house. FPL Raptor. A lot of people are asking start Nico or Trippier. Well, both in my team, but I would probably still lean towards Trippier. I think he's got still good attacking data. He's on a lot of set pieces, and also he's obviously playing in the better defense. So I'm just about lean towards Trippier ahead of Nico. But I think that's basically a 50-50 decision, guys. By the way, guys, very, very, very quickly, we will get back to answering your questions. We're doing a massive joint league in Fanslide this week. So make sure to join the joint league. The league code is TZEBA, as you can see on your screen, TZEBA. There's also a link in the description. If you use the link in the description, it will automatically join you to that league. Basically, myself, FPL Mate, and FPL Focal, along with FPL Heisenberg, FPL Harry, there are a few different content creators. We're doing a massive joint sort of game and league for the Liverpool-Everton game today. So download Fanslide, link in the description. It is 18 plus. Obviously, you can enter paid for competitions there. If you do enter the paid for competitions, obviously, please be gamble aware. Don't bet any more money than you can afford to lose. But this one is completely free. And like I said, it's going to be a massive joint league between some of the biggest content creators. If you want to know what Fanslide is, you basically pick 3 players at all points throughout the game, and you can own them for up to 20 minutes in that game. And you have a single points, double points, and triple points. And you basically have to pick the points in the game that you think those players will do well. And it's really advanced point scoring system. So you get points for like defensive headers, interceptions, switch of play, tackles, goals, assists, all of these different things. So basically, use the link in the description to join Fanslide. Later on in the stream, we'll be picking my team. And there's a £250 prize pool. So you have the opportunity to earn quite a bit of money if you can manage to beat myself, FPL Mate, FPL Focal, and all of the other people that will be joining this league. And it's genuinely a lot of fun. And there'll be a live chat there as well. So all of us will be in the chat. We'll all be talking about Fanslide. We'll all be playing the game against the Everton-Liverpool game today. So like I said, link in the description. We'll talk about it a little bit more later on. And it's genuinely a very fun game to play. And I've just seen Yoash has just said, I won the league and £25 last week in your league, Ross. That's absolutely amazing. You absolutely smashed it. I didn't realize that was you, but yeah, the winner absolutely smashed it. So opportunity to earn money. There's also going to be £250 donated to charity from either myself, FPL Mate, or FPL Focal. So one of us, whoever loses, is going to be donating money to charity as well. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure to join. Like I said, link in the description will take you to that. If you aren't automatically joined, if you just use the league code TZEBA, that will automatically enter you not only to my league, but also to the massive prize pool for today's game. So make sure to do that. What are you doing with Ramsdale? Do you know what? I'm going to transfer Ramsdale out right this second, and I think it's almost definitely going to be for Sanchez. So let's get that done. Let's get that done now. For what it's worth, I think there's a good chance that Ramsdale starts. And obviously, the next 3 fixtures aren't terrible for Arsenal. Sorry, lost my words. Got Manchester United, Everton, Brentford. I think there's a good chance they keep 1 or 2 clean sheets there. I'm just not convinced by the Arsenal defence. And I'd like to cover the Brighton defence moving forward and potentially have a double up with Estepinian. This also gives me a little bit of money in the bank. So I am going to make that move. Has anyone got any reasons? Speak now or forever hold your... Is that what they say in weddings? If anyone objects, speak now or forever hold your peace. I think that's what they say. Speak now or forever hold your peace. That feels wrong. I feel like that's not what they say. Any reason why I shouldn't do Ramsdale to Sanchez? Perisic news. Apparently Perisic is benched according to Paul O'Keefe. That is your Perisic news. Robertson to James or keep? If it's for free, I don't mind it. Could you also make Cucurella to James? Oh, could also do Cucurella to James. And would you start Aronson or Nico? I would start Nico, and I would probably do the... I'd probably do the Cucurella to James and keep Robertson probably. Although Robertson's just not looked great in either of the Liverpool defence, so it's a tricky one. I would get James in for one of them, and I would start Nico ahead of Aronson. If you take Sanchez, when would you start Estepinian? I would start Estepinian. Not this week. I would start him next week, double up against Bournemouth, and I would arguably start him against Crystal Palace as well. So I would be on double Brighton defence in game week 7 and game week 8, to answer your question, Marcus. But in game week 7, I don't have to start him against Bournemouth. I could play Trippier or Nico Williams if I don't want to double up against... I'd double up on the Brighton. And to be honest, even in game week 8, I could play Nico Williams against Fulham. So I don't have to double up at any weeks, but there's a good chance that I double up in game week 6 and game week 7. So yeah. Let's go back to there. So I think I'm going to make that move then. Before we get too close to the deadline. I don't see any reason to not do that move. And I can't see anyone in the chat saying, Vardy hat-trick, that's why. I do think Leicester will score this week, but the next two in particular I do really like for Brighton. And I think there's obviously a decent chance that they still keep clean sheet against Brighton here. What are your thoughts in general on captain defenders? I prefer not to if possible, just because one silly mistake from someone else in the team and the clean sheet's wiped out. Attacking players, even if they have an absolute stinker for the first 80, because they're an attacker, they've got more chance of an attacking for a goal or a goal or an assist, and it doesn't, like, they're not negatively affected by what the rest of the team are doing. So I tend to favour attacking, captain and attackers wherever possible. Right, Ramsdale to Sanchez. I'm just going to do it. I want to make the move. Right, so Ramsdale to Sanchez is done. That's my transfer for this week. The final decision then. So I'm going to definitely keep Estepinian bench this week. So the final decision is basically one of Trippier, Williams, and Harrison has to be benched. So let me chuck a poll in the chat to see what you guys think then for that one. Captaincy poll has ended, by the way, 63% captain Haaland. So by all accounts, Haaland looks like the one. If you want to go for the slightly safer. Trippier against Palace. Williams against Bournemouth. There you go. So just to confirm, the poll is asking who would you bench? Right, so I've just given you Trippier, Williams, Harrison. I have to bench one of them. Who would you bench out of those three players? Let me know. Remember, who would you bench, not who would you start? Bench Trippier, Zaha will score. I'll be honest, I am slightly tempted to bench Trippier and start Harrison. I do think that there's a chance that Zaha does score. But equally, the Newcastle defence is pretty decent. I don't know. I think I want to start Williams. I think Williams against Bournemouth at home looks like a great one. I did a coin flip best of 3 sets and Salah won. There you go. If you're not happy with that, it means don't captain him. If you are happy with that, it means captain him, I guess. Bench Trippier or Estepinian. If you've got no Brighton defensive cover, I would be tempted to bench Trippier, but I've obviously got Sanchez in. There we go. There's the camera gone. I don't know. I think that's a pretty close one. I think Trippier's got the slightly better attacking potential, so I would probably end up benching Estepinian there. Play Estepinian over Nico. Nah, I think I want to back. I think I've already backed the Brighton defence with Sanchez, and I'm not 100% confident on a clean sheet this week. Thoughts on Gibbs White as a Rodrigo replacement? I don't dislike that at all, to be fair. Tony or Isak? That's a really difficult... I'd still probably lean towards Tony for now. Please like the stream. Thank you, Marcus. Yes, please do like the stream. That would be lovely. I would appreciate that very much. How many subscribers are we on now? We're on 28,006. We're only 1,400 subscribers away from 30,000. I think it's probably unreasonable to expect to hit that. But if you are one of the 1,400 that is watching and has not yet subscribed, we are trying to hit 28,000. No, 30,000. So if you want to try and help me hit 30,000 subscribers, I don't think we're going to do it on this stream, but I would massively appreciate that. Why don't you buy a keeper? Why don't you play a keeper like Edison? I don't have the money for Edison. Also buy his pick, Ideal Doorstop. That is outrageous, Marcus. Don't make me ban you from the channel. There I am. I'm back. Subscribed, mate. Thank you very much. I don't think we're going to hit 30,000 on this stream, but I would massively appreciate. Maybe we could hit 29,000. We're only 320 subscribers away from 29,000. So maybe 29,000 is a feasible goal. Let's see. Please ban me. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. Is James injured? No, James is not injured. James was ill, but he should be available for game week 6. So I would not be selling James or benching James. Any team news we should know about? No, not that I know of. Not that I know of. The only team news that we've maybe had, I'm just having a look on Twitter now, is we've had, obviously, the suggestion that Perisic and Son are benched from Paul O'Keefe. That's the only thing that we've seen so far. Outside of that, no. Your coin flip trick never works for me. I'm sorry about that, Robbie. Doesn't work for everyone. I'll subscribe if you tell me Diaz or Zaha. I actually mean Zaha, not Louis Zaha. I would probably be going for Zaha myself. I remember you talked about diversification in defence. With money, it's more sensible, and then in FPLs, you rely on lesser games for clean sheets. The upside is high. So why not Sanchez and Estepinian? Absolutely. Fully agree with that. I still maintain that point. The reason is I'm not confident in a clean sheet this week. My point on diversification is if you back a clean sheet, then don't worry about the double up. I'm not necessarily sure I back the clean sheet for Brighton this week. I know I should. I've still got in the back of my mind that Leicester have the ability to score a goal. I know they haven't necessarily demonstrated that, especially against Manchester United. But because I'm not confident in a clean sheet, that's why I'm diversifying here. I think when you don't diversify is when when you are confident in a clean sheet. I think it makes sense to go for the double up, which I will probably do in game week 7 and game week 8. I'm slightly more confident in a clean sheet there for Brighton. Bench Harrison because I'm starting him. Nice. Which goalkeeper would you choose if you had more money? Probably still Sanchez, maybe Pope, but I could have afforded Pope. I'd still probably say Sanchez is the keeper to own at the moment. Is Haaland starting? Everyone's asking. I'm not Pep. Just because I'm bored does not make me Pep. I don't have a clue if Haaland's starting. Like I said, I don't think... If I had to guess, I would say no. But everyone else seems to think he is. So I'm just going to back what everyone else is saying. Everyone else seems to be confident. Let's go with that. Hello from Japan. Thank you for talking about football. I miss it. Welcome and hello to you from Japan. You're more than welcome. So why Sanchez in if you aren't confident for a clean sheet? Because you don't play FPL over one game week, and equally, I can't predict the future. It's still a good chance for a clean sheet. I'm just not confident in the clean sheet. And equally, they've then got Brighton and Palace, which is 2 good fixtures after that. So that's why. Your football knowledge isn't too far off, Pep, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Is it definite that Ramsdale is out? No, it's actually... I'm pretty confident that Ramsdale will play, to be honest. I just wanted to get Sanchez in, and I don't have a lot else to do with my team. Best player punt for this week. Depends what position, depends what price, depends for how long, all of that stuff. I'd need more stuff. I'd need more information from you to give you a better suggestion there. I have 2 transfers, and the only players I'd consider getting out is Ramsdale, Trippier, or James if he's not playing. Who would you take out? I wouldn't take out Trippier or James, so I'd either make a bench transfer or take out Ramsdale. Opinions on Tony at the moment as the 3rd striker. Yeah, I think Tony, Isak, and Mitrovic are all good 3rd strikers. If I were wildcarding this week, 99% sure I'd be in a 3-striker formation. captaincy poll. I've already done a captaincy poll. Haaland by some distance is the favourite captain. Is it time to start getting rid of Arsenal defence before game week 9? Probably not. Probably not. I only did it because I wanted to. I just don't want Ramsey on my team anymore. I don't think I'm not convinced by the Arsenal defence. He makes loads of mistakes, and I prefer the Brighton fixtures over the next 3. So that's the only reason I've gone for Sanchez. But I think you can do it after game week 9, probably. Are you going to change captain? Not unless we get something which suggests that Haaland is benched. If we get something which suggests Haaland's benched, then yes. Otherwise, I'll probably keep it on Haaland. Who's the best midfielder under 7 million? I would go Trossard or Sinistera for the next 3. If you're looking longer term, I'd try and find a way to get Zaha in. Probably. What's the news on Ramsdale? He's been in training and he's going to be assessed ahead of the Manchester United game. That's the news. Who do you think is a good differential right now? Isak, Trossard and Sinistera would be my top 3. Maybe Gibbs White and Brennan Johnson as well. I'd go someone from Forest, Leeds or Brighton. Again, assuming that you are planning a wildcard around game week 9 because they're all fairly short-term punts. Is Darwin going to play? I think the prediction tends to be at the moment that Firmino is going to get the nod again, and then maybe Darwin starts in game week 7 or starts in the Champions League, I guess, or both. Just a few hundred from 1,000 likes. Can we get there before the deadline? Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. There's a small chance, Marcus. 1,000 likes on a stream is madness, by the way. Have you decided on your bench? I have decided that Estepinian's going to be benched because I'm covering the Brighton clean sheet anyway. And I'm not that confident in a Brighton clean sheet regardless. I think I've decided on Nico. I think the only thing that could change is I might bring Harrison in for Trippier. But to be honest, I'm probably going to keep the bench as it is. I think the team will probably stay. I think captaincy will probably stay. I think benching decision will stay largely the same. And yeah, that's it, isn't it? I've already made my transfer, so. A lot of people are asking Nico or Zaha to start. It's definitely Zaha. Sell Cucurella for Trippier, opinion. No, I don't really like that much, to be honest. Thoughts on Chilwell punt, mate? Only if you think he's going to start ahead of Cucurella. Because I think Koulibaly will start left centre-back. So that basically means one of Cucurella and Chilwell is going to start. So if you think Chilwell will start ahead of Cucurella, maybe. I just think there's going to be too much rotation. Oh, my voice. I think there's going to be too much rotation there. Ross, do you think Fofana will play/start? Yes, I do think he will. Chris says, would you play Harrison or Estepinian with no other Brighton defensive cover? I think I would be tempted by Estepinian, you know. Especially with the ownership. Again, I don't know if you pay attention to that, but the ownership is fairly high for Brighton defence, whereas not many people own Harrison. So if you've already had a good start, which I think you have, Chris, maybe you just go a little bit safer and just cover the Brighton clean sheet. If you want to maybe take a risk, I would probably go for Harrison there. Andy is captain in Salah. Yep, Andy captain Salah last week as well. He tends to play a little bit safer for expected minutes, Andy does. So, like I said, I think there's a very good chance Haaland is benched. So I think Salah captainers could be laughing, but we'll see. Trent, James, Walker, Trippier, Nico, bench 1. Probably Walker. Walker or Nico. Walker. I obviously wouldn't bench Trent and James. Maybe Walker, but the thing is, City clean sheet is, again, City defence is fairly highly owned. You're going to be in major trouble there if City keep a clean sheet. I think Walker, there's a small chance Walker misses this game though. I'd probably bench Walker and hope that he gets benched. Is White to Dalot to get Trossard over Gross worth the second free transfer? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, no. Start Nico Williams or Gabriel? I'd start Nico Williams. Why not play Harrison for Nico? Nico's got very similar underlying data. In fact, let's have a look at that. Let's have a look. Williams. Right. So, underlying data for the two of them, if we go per start for Harrison and Nico Williams. Obviously, bearing in mind Nico Williams is the defender. Also, bearing in mind that Gibbs White has taken a few set pieces off of Nico Williams, so maybe his expected assist will go down slightly. Expected goals is exactly the same for both of them. So Nico Williams' expected goals is 0.18 per start. Harrison's 0.18 as well. And then for expected assist, yes, Harrison's is up at 0.46. Nico Williams at 0.26. I'm not sure that Harrison's underlying data is good enough for me to warrant the fact that number one, Harrison's got the trickier fixture. Number two, Harrison's away from home. And number three, Nico Williams has the potential for a clean sheet and obviously gets more points for a goal. When I put it all together, I just feel like Nico Williams has the slightly higher upside this week. It's not an easy decision. I do think Leeds will grab a couple of goals against Brentford. In which case, maybe it's a mistake benching Harrison. I'm almost hoping that Haaland doesn't feature at all. I get Salah vice captaincy and Harrison comes off the bench. That would be the ideal situation for me, would be that he doesn't play at all. I don't think that's going to happen, though, but that would probably be quite ideal for me. But, yeah, anyway, that's why I'm currently planning on captain. That's why I'm planning... Let me try again. That's why I'm currently planning on starting Williams ahead of Harrison. Abdullah says, you're amazing, bro. Follow you on Twitter as well. Love the mental health tweets you post every now and then. Love you, mate. I love you too, mate. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to just donate and say that. Thank you, mate. I appreciate you. There's Frosty again with the massive super chat. Frosty's a legend. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you more than you know. Talk me out of Rashford / Sancho in for Rodrigo, Daddy Raptor. Talk you out of Sancho / Rashford. Don't you start calling me Daddy Raptor again as well. Right, what am I doing? This over here. This over here. Let's have a look at their underlying data. Because I don't actually know what it's like. I haven't even really considered Manchester United players. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Don't sneeze. Player comparisons. Sancho versus Rashford. By the way, let's have a look at the super chat we've got. Sorry, before I miss it. Thoughts on KDB captain? Haaland might be benched. If you own KDB, yes. I wouldn't transfer him in just to captain him, but if you own him, I would probably captain KDB, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Haaland could well be benched. Start Harrison or Jesus / Martinelli. Will Arsenal players give points against Manchester United? Also, thoughts on double pool defence. I'm confused about Harrison. God, there's lots of questions there. I would still start Jesus and Martinelli ahead of Harrison. I just think they're better assets with better underlying data. Double pool defence, I think you could get away with removing Robertson, assuming he's the second one. But equally, I don't think it's the worst fixture to keep. I think it will be a fairly tight game. So I think there's a good chance for a clean sheet here. Right. Let's answer for Frosty. Sancho versus Rashford. Basically, eye test-wise, I still think Rashford's probably the better FPL asset. Would be from an eye test perspective, watching the games. For stats perspective, again, I haven't even looked at these stats really for Sancho and Rashford. Expected goals-wise, fairly close. 0.2 for Sancho, 0.24 for Rashford. Expected assists, really low for Sancho. Pretty decent for Rashford there. So by all accounts, eye test wise, price wise, and stats wise, Rashford looks like the one to own. So I'm not going to talk you out of it necessarily, Frosty. I think you're planning a wildcard around the same time as me, aren't you? So the next three aren't bad for Manchester United. Arsenal, Palace, Leeds. I may well bring in a Manchester United player against Leeds. Could be Anthony, Sancho, or Rashford. I'm not going to talk you out of it. It does feel like a big punt when there are some other really good options around there. But I don't mind it. And I would probably go for Rashford if I were to go for one of them. So there you go. There you go. Top 3 captaincy, please. Yes, Salah, Haaland, and Kane probably. Maybe De Bruyne chucked in there. Yeah, maybe De Bruyne. Any of those 4 are absolutely fine. I think it just comes down to your gut feeling there. Is it worth taking a hit to take Perisic and Walker out for James and Nico? I'm not sure that's worth a hit, no. I'm wondering, can you just take out Perisic and bring in James, or just take out Perisic and bring in Nico? I don't think you need to take out both of those players there. Play Aronson or Estepinian. It depends if you've got any Brighton defensive cover already, otherwise I'd probably go Estepinian. Dear Ross, would Ramsdale to Henderson be good just for a 3-week punt before wildcard? Yeah, like I said, I don't really like the Nottingham Forest defence, but obviously Henderson's been doing a job and he's been making lots of saves. The next 3 are decent fixtures, but I'm not sure defensively Leeds and Fulham are the best fixtures in the world. So that's why I've gone for Sanchez, but I don't mind Henderson at all. I think he's an absolutely fine shout. Good midfielder for 6 million. Yeah, it's still probably Pascal Gross or Gibbs White. Sanchez or Raya benched. I'd probably just about lean towards Raya benched to start Sanchez. Ooh. Bernardo or Diaz? Diaz. Start Nico or Emerson Royale? Oh, that's a tough one. Nico. I think Spurs will concede. What about Gross appeals to you? His underlying data, the fact he's fairly nailed, the fact he's got really good fixtures, the fact he's on set pieces, the fact his average position is very high. I think there are about 5 or 6 reasons to want Pascal Gross. Rashford it is then. Was torn between the two as I hadn't really watched much Manchester United. To be honest, Frosty, unless you've already made the move, Sancho is the better player. Sancho looks like the better player when I watch Manchester United, and Sancho is more nailed for minutes. But Rashford tends to be the one that pops up with better opportunities to score. And at the moment, he's still playing through the middle. So I would always tend to back Rashford from an FPL perspective. But if you're just looking at them from players, I prefer Sancho. But yeah, you need to... I try my best to sort of dissociate football with FPL sometimes. And from an FPL perspective, I think I prefer Rashford. Is Gibbs White a cheeky punt then? Yeah, I quite like Gibbs White as a cheeky punt. Same about, I see a few people asking about Isak as well. I think that's a very cheeky punt as well. How about Maddison? Yeah, I don't mind Maddison. Maybe not from this week. I'm looking at Maddison from Game Week 9, from my Game Week 9 wildcard. He's still got a few niggles as well, Maddison. So maybe looking for those to settle down. Start Fabian Schär or Nico? I would start Nico there. Saliba or Trippier? I'd go Trippier. Trippier or Estepinian double up with Sanchez. At the moment, I'm obviously favouring Trippier, so I would lean towards saying Trippier. What's the reason you don't have Reece James? I took him out last week and I can't get him back in unless it's for a hit. You're benching Estepinian, really? Who would you start? Mr. Mark. You're just saying that because you own Estepinian. This is the thing with asking people what they think, they will just tell you what they're doing with their team, naturally. So if you're starting Dunk or Estepinian and you're watching this, you're probably thinking, why isn't he starting Estepinian? If you're starting Harrison, you'll probably think, why isn't he starting Harrison? So people will just make it as their team. Every single model that I've tried will all suggest benching Harrison. And then most of them suggest starting Trippier and Williams. A couple of them suggest starting Estepinian. So even not my opinion, just the models are all suggesting that that's similar to the bench that they'd have. Bench March or Trippier? Ooh, I would bench Solly March probably. That's what I like to hear. Sterling or Salah? Always Salah, really, but I think Sterling does look good at the moment, to be honest. Dunk or Nico to bench? I would bench Dunk just about. Bench Walker or Nico? I would just about bench Walker, I think. Nico's got a higher ceiling, but Walker's got a higher floor. Like the stream if you think Ross is handsome. Should we see how many dislikes we now get, Marcus? Like the stream if you think I'm handsome. I'm going to watch the amount of likes. If they don't go up by at least 5%, I'm going to be very sad. Okay, 5 likes. 5 people think I'm handsome. Okay, 11 likes. This is good. Hello, mate. Estepinian and Andreas on the bench. Who else to bench? Gross, Martinelli, Harrison, or Nico? Or any point to bench boost to get rid of it? I think you've probably nailed it, to be honest, mate. I wouldn't bench boost just for the sake of it. Unless you really do back Andreas and Estepinian, I don't think I would necessarily do that. I wouldn't bench boost, and I think you've by the looks of it, you've probably got the bench spot on, Mike. So I'd leave it like that. 74 people liked the stream then. That worked, Marcus. 74 people liked. Thank you. What would a Game Week 9 wildcard look like? I'm not going to do that on this stream, but there will be lots of content coming around a Game Week 9 wildcard, especially as it's during the international break. I'm going to have a complete wildcard guide. I'm going to have at least 2 wildcard drafts as well, and we'll be discussing players to target on wildcard too. So yeah, there will be plenty of Game Week 9 wildcard content for sure. 2 players that are virtually locked in, I think for a lot of people, are going to be Zaha and Mitrovic. I just think they're talismanic. They're on penalties. They've got good fixtures. I'm a big fan of all of that. So yeah, they're 2 players that I'm definitely looking at getting in. Would be Mitrovic and Zaha. Can we like more than once? Thank you very much, Gay. I appreciate that. It's the glasses that do it for me, Ross. That's what I like to hear, Ashley. Thank you. The rounded glasses. Polkit with a highlighted message says, hey Ross, 2 free transfers. Sanchez, Cancelo, Trent, Nico James, Martinelli, Mo, Diaz, Gross, Haaland, Jesus. Bench, Ward, Perisic, Andreas, Archer. What would you do? Wowza, that is a good team. I would probably just downgrade Perisic to give you a bit of money in the bank for next week. So I would do like Perisic to Estepinian, Dunk, someone like that. Dallo, whoever you want, whoever you fancy for the next few weeks, just to give you a bit of money for next week when you've got 2 free transfers again. So that would be the way I would approach this. But you don't need to make any, to be honest. Salah's now predicted 3 points more than Haaland on Fantasy Football Hub. Yeah, I know. Massively, massively favouring Salah. A lot of the models prefer Salah to Haaland this week. It's his mysterious, smouldering personality mixed with his devastatingly beautiful cheekbones that does it for me. You are too kind, Marcus. You are too kind. I think I'm benching Harrison and then play a 5-2-3. I do like the 5-2-3 formation at the moment because the defenders all look like great value. The attackers all look like great value as well. So I don't mind the 5-2-3, to be fair. What is the latest lineup leaks? The only thing that I've seen thus far is that there's a good chance that Perisic and Son are benched. That's all we know thus far. Why are you captaining Haaland? I can't go through the list again. I went through it in my team selection video. Go watch that and then come back to the stream. There was about 10 minutes of discussion around Haaland and Salah. I think there are loads of good reasons. And to captain Haaland, there's loads of good reasons to captain Salah as well. It's the pending PhD that does it for me. Thanks. Ross is a beautiful person. The looks are just the add-ons. Thank you very much, Polkit. You're all been very kind to me. You're all far, far, far too kind. But I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it very much. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. FPL Harry has just done Rodrigo to Harrison for a -4. That's absolute madness. Interesting. I'll be interested to ask Harry why he's done that. Considering I'm benching Harrison, he's just taken a -4 to get Harrison. That is very interesting. I can't see anything else leaked on Twitter at the moment, guys, but I will keep an eye on it. If you do see anything on Twitter regarding early team news, please feel free to let me know in the chat and we'll take a look at it. I would love Ross to be my lecturer. Yeah. It's funny. I don't mean this in a cocky way, but I think it's funny that obviously like there's 1,300 people who are currently choosing to listen to me talk about stuff. And like the video last week got 60,000 views. So by all accounts, there are like 60,000 people that would choose to spend their time watching me in a lecture, of course, because a lot of the students don't want to be there and maybe they're not as excited by the content. It's funny, in FPL and on YouTube, people are excited to watch my videos, whereas in lectures, you can see people are like sat there bored. And I'm just like, it's funny the difference between the two, that you can have people that are sat there bored that don't want to watch my lectures, but there we go. Mbermo or Harrison? Mbermo's predicted 4.6. I maybe prefer Mbermo for this week, but like long term, I prefer Harrison. But if you've got to start one this week, yeah, I would be slightly tempted by Mbermo, yeah. Especially as it's at home. Harry is drunk. That's the only thing that I could think of, to be honest. Hello, Ross. Would you start Dunk and Gross or Patterson and Trossard? Would I start? I prefer the Dunk and Gross combo for sure. I don't think there's much of a difference between Trossard and Gross, but there is a big difference between Patterson and Dunk. Hey, 1,000 likes. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone that's been pushing and reminding people to drop the likes. So thank you very much. 1,000 likes on a live stream is just mind-blowing stuff. Mind-blowing stuff. Trossard or Gross? I just about prefer Trossard, but if you consider the savings, maybe Gross is the one. Should we have a look at the comparison between Trossard and Gross? Maybe that will help you guys. Always great to listen to your insights before the game weeks, Ross. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I love these live streams. Really, really love these live streams. Genuinely. Like I said, if you do want to support the channel and you also want to get access to the best website in fantasy football, there is a link in the description, 30% off from Fantasy Football Hub. It's basically, if you pay annually, it works out as £2.10 per month, which for pretty much anyone is extremely cheap. You get access, by the way, if you want to know what you get access to you get access to the My Team feature, which is this awesome, this is what I spend like 9% of my time on. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing, aren't I? There. So the My Team feature, you get access to Opta statistics, points projections, fixture ticker, price changes, Ben Krellin's calendar. So Ben Krellin, the FPL guru, has got his own calendar. You get your live rank, you get Jossie's planner as well. And then you also get all of the content as well. So there are like team reveal articles. You've got videos, podcasts, there's games as well. Latest tips, predicted lineups as well. So all of the predicted lineups for the different teams by Ben Dinnery. It's well and truly worth the £2.10 anyway. Points. What was I doing? Player comparisons. We wanted to look at Trossard versus Gross, didn't we? It is worth mentioning, obviously, Trossard started the season at left wing back. So his data is not going to be as good as Gross. What game week did Trossard make the switch to? I can't remember exactly what the game week was, but by all accounts, obviously Gross is going to be fantastic, but Trossard is still getting some good data. And since making the switch where Trossard's gone back into the front three, his data's been really good. But you can see expected assists for Gross is 0.34, which is remarkably good. 0.13 for Trossard. And expected goals 0.21 for Trossard, 0.32 for Gross. So when people are saying, why do I like Pascal Gross so much? His underlying data is 0.66 expected goal involvement. Trossard isn't great at the moment, but if we were to look at a shorter game week spell, I think what you would probably find is Trossard isn't too dissimilar to Gross. So there we go. I would still just about lean towards Trossard, but I think Gross is a fine option too. What am I doing now? I want to go back to this. If you have just joined the stream, by the way, I've made one free transfer this week, and I have done Ramsdale to Sanchez. FPL should be a subject at school. Straight A's in your class. Yeah, I would love to lecture FPL, to be fair. Captaining Salah or the Viking? I'm currently going for the Viking, but if you think he's not going to start, I think Salah's the better option. Basically, if you think Haaland will start, captain Haaland. If you think if you think he won't, I would captain Salah. James and Gross or Saliba to Nico with Mitrovic in. Probably. Oh, that's really tough. I'd probably go James and Gross snaps, just about. That's a really tough one, though. Even says, hi, Ross. Hi, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Just say hello. Robertson downgrade to get Zaha in for Rodrigo for a -4 this week, or same to get Mitrovic next week. Robertson downgrade to get Zaha in for Rodrigo for a -4 this week, or same to get Mitrovic next week. I would go same next week for free and you get Mitrovic. That's a really tight one, though. I don't think that's an easy decision at all. I guess it would still be a -4, actually, wouldn't it, next week? I think over the next few, I prefer Zaha. Longer term, I prefer Mitrovic. So if you're going to wildcard in game week 9, I would go Zaha. If you're not wildcarding in game week 9, I would go Mitrovic. Got a highlighted message from Mr. DJ Hammer, who did win the Raptier 1 Mini League Manager of the Month, so congratulations. It says, hey Ross, which of Ramsdale/Perisic is a higher priority sale? 2 free transfers, 0 million in the bank, and I have Pope/Trippier as targets. Also, keep liking the stream, people. Thank you very much. I'd say Perisic is the high priority sale, because I think Ramsdale will start. So it depends who you have on the bench, but I would probably say, I would probably say just about Perisic. This is pretty much you lecturing at FPL. I guess it is pretty much lecturing at FPL, isn't it? It didn't let me finish the message. Was going to ask Cucurella or Trippier. Love you, Ross. No worries. I would say if you have James, Trippier. If not, I would say Cucurella. That's a very close one, though. Chris says, little ones just woke up. Any last-minute news? Not that I know of yet. Like I said, Perisic is the only news which we've had. Perisic and Son being on the bench. But that's a prediction again. Hey, Ross, do you have a benching list like last week? Thanks. I don't this week because I don't have a clue and I just don't feel comfortable giving benching advice when I'm struggling so much myself. I think it should just be a gut feeling this week. I think there's so many close benching decisions that I just don't feel comfortable giving advice to everyone. If you've got a specific question, I can give you a 50-50, but I found it really difficult to try and put everyone in a list this time. By the way, you can quickly look at this. We'll maybe do it... Oh, not that. Not that. We'll maybe do it in a bit more detail in a bit, but those are my predictions for this week, very briefly. Can you show the latest picture of you with hair asking for a friend? I can maybe try and dig it out. It's been 4 years since I shaved my head, so there's not any particularly recent pictures. Best keeper for 5 million this week. I would still probably, for this week, maybe Henderson, but like longer term, I'd probably still say Sanchez. Any news on Haaland starting? I will be following you on the captaincy choice. Nothing. I don't think we're going to get anything, so it just comes down to what you believe. Oh. Can you show your team? Yeah, I'll go back to my team. There we go. Thoughts on Raya over Sanchez? I don't dislike it, but I still prefer the Brighton defence and the chance of Brighton clean sheet over the next 3. You look a little bit like Willy Caballero. Do I? Is it just because I'm bald? To be honest, when I read that, I thought it just said you look a bit like a Willy, but you said I look a little bit like Willy Caballero, which is nicer than calling me a Willy, I think. Play Walker or Harrison? I'd probably just about lean towards Harrison, to be honest. Walker's a bit of a 6-point merchant, isn't he? Do you feel like people are underestimating Villa? Maybe slightly, but they haven't looked great recently, so probably not, no. I do think they're a slightly better defence than Everton, though. Thoughts on bench boost? I don't like it particularly. Gabriel or Nico Williams? I'd start Nico Williams, to be honest. First match curse hopefully does it this week. Yeah, Salah and Liverpool are the early kickoff. These live streams actually absolutely kill my throat speaking for 3 hours. Would you trust Trippier or Aronson? Just about Trippier. Which is why I've just about gone Trippier over Harrison. I do really want to play Harrison, I'm not going to lie. Do you know what? I think I'm just going to lock myself in and I'm going to quickly tweak my team as a result. Yeah, I'm just going to go for it. Let's quickly tweak the team and then I'll go back to answering your questions. Make sure you are getting locked in, by the way. There's only about 15 minutes left to the deadline. Cool. We do a little lock. We're going to do a lock with a key because I might change it. The key means that could maybe be changed in the next 15 minutes. Right, Ramsdale to Sanchez. And then we want to do, actually, we'll put it in there. We're going to go for Haaland, Captaincy, cap. And we are 31k, which is good. It's a good start, isn't it? I mean, we've got to be happy with a 31k start. But it is what it is. Good luck, everyone. Got to say good luck. Got to spread those positive vibes. But I hope I beat everyone and I hope I win FPL. Is that what I did? Ramsdale to Sanchez, Haaland captaincy. I hate benching Harrison and Espinian, but it is what it is. I think we're good. I think we're good. There you go. Sorry for having to do that in the middle of the stream. Go like the tweet. Go, go, go. Go like it. Sorry, I just want to make sure I haven't missed any super chats. I did. Kane or Haaland for captaincy? I would still go Haaland, but if you think Haaland's going to be benched, then obviously Kane's a fantastic shout this week. There are lots of notifications that may or may not be useful for us. God knows what all of that is. I'm just going to see if we've got any news coming through. Can't see anything coming through, to be honest. So I think that's pretty much going to be it then for the team. Make sure you do get your questions in, last minute questions. I'll do my best to try and answer some more of them. Should I lock in my transfers? I would get your transfers sorted. Yeah, you've only got 10 minutes. I don't think we're going to get any meaningful news, to be honest. Is Robertson going to start? Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't really get early Liverpool news. I would say yes, but obviously there's a small chance Simicast starts, isn't there? Mrs. has done Son, Rodrigo and Solanke to Haaland, Zaha and Andreas. I actually prefer her team. Yeah, sorry, Frosty. It sounds like you're being beat fair and square there, to be fair. Her team sounds very nice. Would you transfer Gundogan out? Will he play? I've got no idea. I would predict that Gundogan will start, but I don't think that's easy to predict. So there we go. Ramsdale to Sanchez with only one free transfer. That's what I did. That's what I did. Cool. I don't think we're going to get any early news, any more news, sorry. Bench Jesus or Martinelli. I wouldn't bench either, but if you're going to have to bench one, it would be benching Martinelli. Small chance he's rotated, and Jesus has the better data. I wouldn't be benching Jesus anytime soon. Start Nico or Estepinian. I don't have Sanchez. I think that's a trickier decision. I'd maybe go Estepinian if that's the case. By all accounts, Brighton are the better defence. Keep Guedes or sell for Gross. I would keep Guedes. Isak will be FPL gold at 7 million. Yep, I agree. I think he'll be a fantastic option moving forward. Did you flip the coin for Haaland captaincy? I didn't, no. But I don't need to flip the coin because I know the psychology behind it. I'm fairly good at knowing my gut feeling. My gut feeling is that I don't know. But when in doubt, I think captain the player that is in better form, goal-scoring form, and also got the better underlying data as well. I'm hoping he either starts or doesn't play at all. I don't think that's likely. I think if he doesn't start, he'll come off the bench, but we'll see. I suppose if City are like 5 or 6 goals up, there's no need to bring him on. So I guess we hope that if he doesn't start, City banging a few goals, then I'd get Harrison and then Salah captaincy. Just want to refresh and make sure it's all locked in. Yeah. I think we're good. Play Dunk or De Silva. I would play Dunk probably. Start 3. Martinelli, Nico, Johnny, Harrison, Trippier. I would bench Johnny and Harrison, but that's not easy particularly. Will with the super chat says Ross -4. James and Sanchez bench Neto, Williams or Welbeck. Yep, I like the -4 for James and Sanchez. Bench Neto, Williams or Welbeck. Just about Neto, maybe Williams. I wouldn't bench Welbeck. Leicester look all over the place, and Welbeck's data when he starts is very good. How much money in the bank, Ross? Good question. I have 0.6 in the bank for next week. I really hope Arsenal don't keep a clean sheet against Manchester United. As a Manchester United fan that has just sold Ramsdale, that would be a bit of a disaster for me. So fingers crossed Manchester United can grab a goal. Thoughts on Saka and Archer out for Isak and Longstaff and some free money for the future? I don't know about Longstaff, but obviously it's just switching money to Isak, which I don't dislike. Williams or Walker? Just about Williams. Benching Walker for Trippier as I have Edison covering City, also playing Harrison, who I prefer over both. I do really want to play Harrison, but I just think I'm going to back Trippier. Decent underlying data, playing in a good defence, chance for a clean sheet, chance for an attacking return. I think he's got the highest ceiling, just about. Nico versus Bournemouth or Martinelli versus Manchester United. I would always back the attacker with the good underlying data. So I would be going Martinelli, start, and Nico on the bench. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get any early team news on Robertson, unfortunately, for those people that were asking. I haven't seen anything yet anyway. So it's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to take that risk or not. I do think he'll start, but I have seen a few people predicting a Simicast start, so maybe. Jordan with a super chat says, should I take out Ramsdale for a -4, have Ward on the bench? Not for a -4. I think Ramsdale will play, and even if he doesn't, you've got Ward. The thing is, even if you bring in a keeper and they get a 6-pointer, as long as Ward or Ramsdale get like a 1 or 2 pointer, you're not even gaining much from that because you're taking a hit. So I would never normally take a hit, a -4 for a goalkeeper, unless you're confident that you're not going to have them getting any points. And even so, I'm still hesitant because like you need them to get a clean sheet and save points and bonus to really make the hit back. So no, I would always avoid taking a hit for a keeper if you can. The wife just shouted out, he's a Manchester United fan. Why are you watching this? That is outrageous, Marcus. Tell her you're watching this because you love me more than her. And let me know what she says about that. Say, I love Raptor more than you. Raptor, big fan. De Silva or Andreas, first bench. I would still go for Andreas. I know it's the trickier fixture, but I just think Andreas is a better asset than De Silva. There's not even, we don't even know if De Silva's going to start as well. Bench 1, Harrison, Williams, Cucurella, Gross. I would lean towards one of Harrison or Cucurella, but that's not an easy decision, Matt, to be honest. I was going to say I don't envy you, but I've got my own benching headaches as well myself. You've got 5 minutes before the deadline, by the way, guys. 5 minutes left. Make sure to lock in your teams in the next 5 minutes. Make sure you've got your vice captain sorted. If you're captain Haaland, make sure your vice captain's on whoever you want to vice captain. And also make sure your bench order is sorted as well. All right. For the same reason that if Haaland does miss out, you're going to need your first sub probably. So yeah. By the way, do stick around after the deadline, because after the deadline, we will be talking about all sorts of stuff, be looking ahead to future weeks, having a bit of a chat about... It's genuinely my favourite part of the stream. So from 11 till 12, we'll carry on streaming for another hour, and we have a genuinely enjoyable chat. So do stick around. Don't ditch me after the deadline. That's what I'm going to say. Martinelli or Dunk, I would start Martinelli. Trippier or Dunk, I would start Trippier. It's not that I don't like the Brighton defence. I just think that Martinelli and Trippier both have higher attacking potential, obviously. I mean, Dunk's going to score now. I'm sure I've said that. Dusk has asked, Perisic/Cucurella out for James or Diaz for a -4. I don't mind Perisic to James for a -4. I'm not sure I would do Cucurella to James for a -4, and I wouldn't be that interested in Diaz. So the only one I'd be tempted by there is Perisic to James for a -4. Who to switch Perisic out for the next 3, Nico or Estepinian? I'd probably go Estepinian for the next 3. For this specific week, I do quite like Nico, though. I'm expecting a dodgy 1-0 Manchester United win. Bench Arsenal assets as a Neo risk. I don't dislike it, but yeah, I don't back the Manchester United defence enough to bench my Arsenal assets. Please reply, Reece James versus West Ham or Nico versus Bournemouth. I would say Reece James all day, every day. Should I take a -4 to take out Ramsdale? No, I wouldn't take a -4 for a goalkeeper. Morning, Ross. Start Andreas or Saliba? I would start Andreas. Who do I play, Estepinian or Gross? Please reply. I would play Gross myself. Oh, it's something in my eye. I apologise for molesting my eye, but there is something inside of it. And I've just rubbed my lens as well now. What a disaster. What a disaster. You've got approximately 2 minutes until the deadline. Make sure to lock in your teams. Feel free to ask last-minute questions, but don't rely on me to answer those questions in time. Make sure you lock in your team. Cucurella or Nico? I have James. Just about Nico, then. Recommended Manchester United players. Dalot and Rashford would be top of my list at the moment. Maybe Malacia. Bench Walker, Cucurella or Harrison? Probably just about Walker, just because he feels like a bit of a 6-point merchant. What's the probability of Haaland starting? Like 50-50, genuinely. I've got no idea. Harrison to GV points. He's on your bench. Thoughts? To give points, are you saying? Yeah, I think Harrison will do fairly well. I'm just hoping that Trippier and Williams do better. I'm hoping that Harrison, if he does get something, one attacking return and no bonus. It's not ideal. It's not ideal to bench Harrison and Estepinian, but there's not a lot I can do. If I bench Trippier and Williams, people will be saying, why are you benching Trippier and Williams? Nico Williams/Zaha, who should I play? I would definitely play Zaha. I would always back an attacker on penalties. You got about 1 minute left to the deadline. Make sure to lock in those teams. Perisic or Nico? Nico. Harrison or Tony? Tony. Trippier or Martinelli? Martinelli. Saka for Sancho. I wouldn't make the switch either way. I don't know which way you're going there, but I would keep whoever you've got. Less than a minute, guys, till the deadline. Make sure you lock your teams in. I'm just going to give it a quick refresh. Make sure that I am all locked in. Haaland captaincy, Salah vice. Harrison, Estepinian on the bench is going to burn terribly. Start Dallo or Andreas. I'd start Andreas just about. James or Williams, I would start James. Trippier or Gabriel, I'd start Trippier. Play Harrison or Tony, I would start Tony. Right, by the way, by the time you hear my voice, I reckon that'll be the deadline locked because there's about a 15-second delay. So let's just say we're locked. Let's say that's that. That is that. Yeah, we didn't get early team news, I'm afraid. I think that bench will come back to bite me in the bum, but I don't think that was an easy decision. Don't think that was an easy decision at all. So we'll see how it goes. There we go. I'm really not looking forward to seeing Salah in the early kickoff. I'm not going to lie. Early kickoff's going to be a little bit savage, I think. Who is the weakest in your starting 11? It's probably Nico Williams or Trippier, to be honest. Hence why I was tempted to bench one of them for Harrison. How have you ended up with such a strong bench? Are the players too cheap? Yeah, the thing is, like, Williams is obviously so cheap. So normally Williams would be on my bench with Stansfield. And then the third bench option would normally be Estepinian. So I don't think my bench is even that expensive. Like I said, Williams and Stansfield are basically as cheap as you can get. And then Estepinian's a pretty cheap player as well. Sorry to be cringe, but you are the GOAT. That's not cringe at all, Daniel. I think that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Boona with the fake news. Is Boona doing fake news? I didn't even see the tweet. I already regret benching Harrison. I really regret benching Harrison, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Right, so deadline's gone. Do make sure you stay. If you're not going to stay, if you're going to leave, make sure to drop a like on your way out. Make sure to subscribe. But hopefully as many of you stay as possible and we can just have a bit of a chat about whatever you guys want. Anything you want to talk about, let me know. Spent a lot of time this week thinking about Robertson replacements, but decided last minute to stick with him. What a waste of time that was. No, because you might replace him next week, I guess. Still good to think about. Lady Luck has been on your side. Hopefully that continues with Harrison, and hope that continues in the Harrison West for you. This is the thing. I have been relatively... I don't think I've been that lucky in the opening game, which I think I've made some good choices, but I have been relatively lucky in the opening 5. So if I'm unlucky this week with my benching headache and my benching decisions, it's part of FPL, isn't it? Part of FPL. As a United fan, how do you feel about Ronaldo being benched? I don't dislike it at all. The issue is that we don't have a decent replacement at number 9, unfortunately. This is going to be an interesting week. A lot of close games. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of close games as well. In football, with the trajectory you had before you stopped, where realistically would you be playing right now? Please don't be too humble. Be real. Probably League 1 or Championship, I would imagine. I was good enough to play professional football, but I probably wasn't determined enough or dedicated enough to my craft to be in the Premier League. That's the difference between like Kyle Walker-Peters was not a particularly great footballer, but he was absolutely dedicated. That's why he's made it. I was never that dedicated to it. So yeah, I reckon let's say a good team in League 1. Yeah, I know, the Tinder gals are back. I've just tried hiding that user. Let's see what happens. What position did you play? I played on the left wing. I'm a left-footed left winger. Imagine a slightly quicker Dwight McNeil. That's me. Can I be a mod, Ross? I haven't seen you in the chat every single live stream, so I would need to see... The only time I'll mod someone is if they're a member or I see them in every stream and they're helping me out with different things. So maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Yeah, we'll see. There are at least 3 or 4 mods in the chat, so that we don't need any more mods for now. Why did you stop playing football? I fell out of love with playing football professionally, and I was very injury prone as well. I went through really quick growth spurt. I mean, I'm not tall now particularly, but I was very short. Went through a quick growth spurt, got injured quite regularly, and I just stopped enjoying playing football. And I think when you stop enjoying playing football, then that's probably the end for you. Spurs Academy, right? Yeah, I played for Spurs from 7 to 15. So it was just under 8 seasons I played for Spurs. Hence why we have all the jokes about Carl Walker-Peters being my best friend, because we were in the same age group at Spurs for like 3 or 4 years. Is the bald head better for aerodynamics? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you polish it as well, that tends to help. What did you get on the bleep test? Oh, I can't remember. I haven't done it for a while. I'm very, very quick. Right, that was my major advantage. It still is my major advantage that I'm quick. So when my fitness was good, I would have done fairly well on the bleep test. Fairly quick, good fitness. As an Arsenal fan, that really disappoints me. If it makes you feel better, Ben, I did play for Arsenal, but only for 1 season. Do you want to know a fun story about Arsenal? I might have told this story before. Apparently Simicast starts. Apologies then that we didn't get that news. Apparently Simicast starts, according to Andy. I didn't sign for Arsenal because they don't have contracts when you're that young, but I was scouted for Arsenal when I was 6 years old. I just turned 6. And I played for Arsenal for just under a year. So it was about 11 months I played for Arsenal. On I think it was my 7th birthday, they called me up and dropped me. And it was due to my lack of physicality and due to being too short. Right? Imagine dropping a 7-year-old because they're not physical enough and because they were too short. Granted, I was very short. I mean, like very, very, very short. But still, it seems a bit strange, especially as I'm a winger. But anyway, there we go. Were you quicker than Carl Walker-Peters? Yes, I was significantly quicker than Carl Walker-Peters. But Carl Walker-Peters isn't that quick. But yeah, I was quicker than Carl. Yes, 99 pace on FIFA. No, I'm not that quick. I'm not making out that I'm literally the quickest person in the world. But that was my major strength, was my pace. Any photos from your Spurs and Arsenal days? Yeah, I've posted them loads of times on Twitter. On my 10,000 subscriber Q&A, I posted the pictures as well. So there are loads of pictures out there of me playing for Spurs and Arsenal. First time here, I think you are the Johnny Sins of FPL. First FPL season. Thank you very much. What a strange thing to say, but thank you. I assume it's the bald head making you say that. On your birthday, damn. I know, on my birthday. Can you imagine how upset I was getting my mum just going, just got a call from Arsenal. You've been dropped because you're not physical enough. How much pace do you reckon you would have on FIFA? I don't do any sprinting now, so now I'd say like low 80s. Back in the day, I'd back myself to be high 80s, low 90s. Who would your pace be comparable to? It's difficult to know because these Premier League footballers are quick. This is the thing. Like, they might not look it, but even the slow Premier League footballers are very quick. So you were at Arsenal at the same time as well as the best players were there. So I'm in the same age group as Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Carl Walker-Peters. That's my age group because I'm 25. So I played with Ainsley at Arsenal for a bit, and then I played at Spurs with Carl, and then Harry Winks was the year group above me. So I think the only Premier League players that were in my age group is Kyle, and then obviously Ainsley. They're the only two that I can think of, anyway. Saka clearly learnt his technique off you. Yeah, let's go for that. No, I meant the first team were the best back then in 2004. Oh yeah, the Arsenal first team were ridiculous back then, obviously. Do you think Isak will be any good? Yeah, I do think Isak will be very, very good. Do you have a group chat from your academy boys? No, I don't speak to any of them anymore, to be honest. I left Spurs Academy when I was 15, so I'm 25 now. So I haven't played professional football in 10 years. Was your stamina good? It was decent. It was decent. Were you explosive or quick over a distance? Both. So I used to do 100 meter sprinting. 11.7, I think was my quickest 100 meter, but I haven't done 100 meter in a while. Like I said, I'm not saying I was ridiculously quick, but I was pretty quick. But yeah, I was very quick over a short distance. Is your league code current? It is SV1QTQ. Are you still in touch with any footballers now? A few sort of semi-pros, but no one that's playing in the Prem, no. Was it knee injuries? No, it was mainly muscular, to be honest. And I had a lot of issues with the ligaments in my ankles. So I've done the ligaments in my ankles 2 or 3 times, but it was mainly muscle injuries. I used to just, every time I kicked a football, I'd tear or strain a muscle. It's just not good. Do you ever talk about your youth days with the lads that you do VR stuff with? Not really, no. I tend to be quite professional with the stuff. So when we're doing the stuff with any Premier League footballers, I don't tend to talk about myself too much. So it'll go in, it'll be doing the VR training and keeping it fairly professional. 25, I thought you were 30. Yeah, I've only just turned 25. Yeah, I only just turned 25. Were you on free kicks? I was on a lot of indirect free kicks and corners, but I was never really very good at direct free kicks. Did you play on your school football team? I did, but the issue is when you play for an academy like Spurs, they're very keen on you not playing for the school. So they can't stop you from playing for the school, but they were always very keen on not playing too much football outside of playing for Spurs, of course, which makes sense, to be fair. 11.7 is rapid. Some Olympic sprinters in the early rounds run around that, I think. Yeah, I think that was when I was about 17, 18. I was probably when I was at my quickest. I'd probably be looking at like 13 seconds now. I've definitely lost a lot of pace. I just don't sprint anymore, that's why. 30 is a compliment heading in the right direction. Yeah, it is, isn't it, Frosty? It's better than we've seen in the past. So your age group won the Under-20 World Cup. Maybe. I don't actually know the answer to that. Have you ever missed a penalty? I have missed a penalty. It was absolutely shocking. So I was on penalties, right? You know, like my background is sports psychology. So I tend to back myself as someone that performs quite well under pressure. So I took penalties. I would continue to take penalties. At the Game Week 9 fantasy football event, I would have probably taken the penalty. I backed myself to take a penalty. So I stepped up. It was 6-6. It was 6-6 against Chelsea. Last minute of the game, this was horrific. So I stepped up to take a penalty 6-6 against Chelsea. This was probably like under 10s, under 11s. So I step up, I take the penalty, I hit the crossbar, and it rebounds off the crossbar. And then Chelsea got the other end and score, and we lost 7-6. That's the only big penalty that I remember missing. It was horrible, though. That is not the sort of dress. You don't want to be in the dressing room after that when you miss a penalty and it's a 3-point swing. So, yeah. Paul Scholes went to my high school and they didn't let him play for the school. Yeah, but Paul Scholes was ridiculous. I was no Paul Scholes, but no, they let me play for the school. It was just they preferred if you didn't. Lewis says Estepinian 12-pointer incoming. I've got a very, very good feeling that Harrison and Estepinian are going to get some returns and I'm going to be crying about my bench, but it is what it is. Lies, you are 45. I'm not 45, I'm 25. I'm not 45. It's such why would I lie about my age? It's impossible to. So many people know me from real life as well. I would be exposed if I was lying about my age. Reminds me of Hog Dini. It was literally like Dini, but obviously it was less of an issue because it was like under 10s. So, favorite football boots of all time? Probably the T90s, to be honest. What are your favorite football boots of all time, guys? Might be the T90s. Let me see if I can get a picture of them up. Let's go with... Which one's my favorite? These. I actually had this exact pair. No, not those ones, actually. I mean, there are a few different ones. Let's chuck it over. Does everyone remember, like these? They had the, like... Oh, you're not going to be able to see that. Nope. Oh, God. Well, that's gone really big. Oh, you're not going to be able to zoom out. It had that, like, that rubber top bit. I had the yellow ones. I had these green ones in there as well. Wayne Rooney used to wear them. These ones as well. The white with the orange. I was more of a Nike person than Adidas myself, so they were probably my favourite boots there. Yeah, the T90 boots, they do remind me of Rooney. The reason I couldn't wear Predators is that I've got very wide feet, and to be honest, Predators are quite narrow boots, so I always used to really struggle with Adidas, so I always used to wear Nike. You can tell Ross is 25 by his fashionable dress sense. I don't know if I'm fashionable, but yeah, I dress like a 25-year-old, don't I? Not a 45-year-old. Are you doing a watch-along? I'm not doing a watch-along, but I'll continue streaming for like another half an hour or so minimum. I've been on this stream for an hour now. You are a legend. Who's been on this stream for the... Oh, camera. Camera alert. Let me just reset the camera. Who has been on this stream for the full 2 hours, 16 minutes? Let me know. It's typical of African footballers to lie about their age. Well, I'm not an African footballer, though. So, there we go. I'm not happy. Why are people trying to age you? Thank you, Gay. I don't know. Hypervenom. Oh, Hypervenom's a good shout. Predators or the Vapors from like 08. Yeah, that's a good shout. Have you ever been booked for shouting at the referee? I am very ashamed to admit that I have been booked. I didn't shout at the ref. Essentially, what happened was, it was a very frustrating game, right? The referee clearly had it in for me. So I'm a very tricky winger. So I do skills. I get kicked a lot by attackers. As if you watch Game Week 39, by the way, you would have seen I get kicked a hell of a lot. I was just getting kicked left, right, and centre, but the referee had it in his head that I wasn't being kicked and that I was diving. And at one point, before I got booked, he looked at me on the floor, didn't give the free kick, and just stood over me and said, "You like the grass, don't you?" And I was like, what on earth? Like, how is the referee standing over me? This was Sunday League football at this point. This was after I quit. This after I quit professional football. So he basically said, "You like the grass a lot, don't you?" So then he gave a really, really shocking decision in about 20 minutes after that. And I basically just went to the ref and I clapped in his face, which is very disrespectful. I would not have done that usually, but I was very, very angry. So yeah, I clapped about 4 inches from his face. He probably could have sent me off, to be fair, but he only booked me. I think I've only been booked 2 or 3 times in my life. So there we go. However, if you want a bit of inside knowledge, I don't know if this is how it used to be. Remember, I quit professional football when I was 15, and I'm currently 25. So I haven't played professional football for 10 years. But when I used to play for Spurs, we didn't have yellow cards and red cards in the academy. What we actually had was a blue card. So what a blue card was, is it was like the equivalent of a red card. So it would take you out of that game. And what they actually had within our contract is if you had a certain amount of blue cards within a season, the club had the right to terminate your contract. So it was basically like a discipline thing. So you wouldn't get booked for any challenges, but if you did a horrific challenge, or if you screamed at the ref, or if you did something that warranted being sent off, you'd get a blue card. And then again, if you accumulated a certain amount of blue cards over the season, I can't remember if it was 3 or 5, but you would essentially have the opportunity to be dropped based on the fact that your attitude was probably terrible. I never got a blue card, which is good. Are you doing the fan slide for Liverpool? Yeah, I am going to make a team for fan slide for Liverpool. By the way, make sure that you download fan slide now. We're going to be doing this in about 20 minutes. We're not going to be doing it yet, but make sure you download fan slide. It's basically in-play fantasy football. Throughout the game, you have someone on single, triple, and double points, and it's completely free to play. There is an 18+. It is 18+ because you can pay to enter some of the competitions, but we are doing a £250 prize pool for today's game with FPL Mate, myself, and FPL Focal. And one of us, either Mate, Focal, or myself, will be donating £250 to charity if we lose. So out of the 3 of us, whoever loses will be donated to charity. And there's also a £250 prize pool for you guys. So there's the opportunity for free for you guys to earn money. One of us will donate to charity. The league code is TZEBA. That will put you into my league. Once you are into my league, Fanslide on the back end are going to put everyone that's in any of our leagues into one big event, and we're going to be competing against each other. So that not only will that enter you into my league, it will also enter you into our sort of group league as well. So the link in the description will help you with all of that. But yeah, it is 18 plus. Please obviously be gamble aware if you're going to pay, but this is free and I'm not going to be paying for anything. Lots of people saying they've been there for the entire stream. I do appreciate that. Let's go back. Us wingers never get any protection. Yeah, I know. I was a tricky winger. Maybe I went down earlier a couple of times. Went down easy a couple of times, but yeah. I really love your streams, mate. I always enjoy how you talk about your life. You'd be a good lad to have a pint with. Thank you. Maybe we'll try and get a meet-up going soon. But yeah, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you, mate. Ross, if I'm a part of your fan slide league, will I automatically be a part of the big league that you and FPL mate are doing? Yeah, so as far as I've been told from the guys over at Fanslide is that everyone that enters into any of our leagues, they're going to, on the back end, because obviously they can do that, they're going to aggregate the leads and then enter this into one big event. And that will be the event where you're competing with the three of us. That's what I've been told. So just make sure that you join my league. If you join via the link, it will automatically put you in the league. Ross, you're now clearly the fastest growing YouTube growing FPL channel of all. Maybe not. FPL Focal and FPL Harry and Dan and all that are smashing it. But yeah, the channel is growing pretty quick. How many subscribers are we on? Let's have a refresh. Yeah, on almost 29,000 subscribers. So I reckon we'll hit 30,000 subscribers in the next week or two, which would be super cool. It's growing very, very quickly, and I'm very grateful for that. I could not use the code SV1QTQ to join your league. Can you put the link in the description or something like that? Yeah, I'll try and do that for the next video then. I don't know why that's not working. It should work. Were you put on a specific diet as an academy player? No. We were given nutritional advice, but it's changed a lot since then. So now, yes, academy players are put on specific diets. Back in the day, I say back in the day, 10 years ago, we didn't even have sports psychologists, really. There wasn't a massive amount of help with nutrition, but we had a general plan. The funny thing is, where we used to train, so we used to train over at Enfield when I used to play for Spurs. There was basically right outside, there was a McDonald's, right? So there was the training ground, and then outside there was McDonald's, and then like a 2-minute away, there was also a Krispy Kreme place. So my mum and dad used to pick me up on a Saturday morning. And listen, if you've ever played football, you'll know that on a Saturday, the best thing to do after football is either a bacon sandwich or it's get a McDonald's, right? Just that is absolutely goated after playing football, going to get a McDonald's. However, of course, some of the coaches used to get McDonald's as well. And when it was like so close to the ground, we used to go to McDonald's, and I used to either have to hide in the car, or if we went in there, I would have to like duck and like push the McDonald's out the way if any of the coaches came in. So that's pretty funny. But no, there was dietary specifications, but they didn't ever make us do anything. The funny thing is, though, we used to be weighed on a weekly basis. So all academy players will be weighed on a weekly basis. They'll check your BMI, your muscle mass, stuff like that, especially when you're younger, because they want to also check your growth. So we used to be measured I think our height was measured every like 2 to 4 weeks to make sure that we weren't growing too quickly and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. So you could make yellow card challenges all game with no repercussions. No, they'd eventually give you a blue card if you were repeatedly flying in. But the odd terrible challenge, as long as it wasn't a red, you could probably get away with, yeah. Favorite football shirt? Manchester United away kit this year is probably my favorite football shirt at the moment. Is Fanslide available in EU? It depends what country you're in. Some countries outside the UK you can, but it's majoritarily UK based, just due to the different regulations in each country. But give it a go, and if it doesn't work, I do apologise. Hey Raptor, how to get rid of pre-exam anxiety? It's a fantastic question. First point is to prepare thoroughly, right? If you're not prepared, that's when you're normally anxious. The second thing is to make sure you get a lot of sleep. Right, getting sleep is absolutely massive for reducing anxiety, and also making what basically sleep does is it consolidates memory. So this is what I did my bachelor's degree in. So my bachelor's degree was in psychology. We looked at the role of sleep in eyewitness testimony, and what we basically found is that sleep consolidates memory. So make sure you prepare. Make sure you're getting a lot of sleep as well. Make sure you wake up with plenty of time. You don't want to be rushing around in the morning. That's going to increase your anxiety. I would advise journaling before your exam. So journaling about what your worries are. What are you worried about your exam? Is it that you'll forget what you're going to do? If so, how can you get around that? Is it that you think you're going to let your parents down? If so, is that realistically like a reasonable thing to be worried about. So I find journaling before an exam quite helpful, and also any form of meditation too. That doesn't have to literally be sitting there going with your eyes closed. It's just taking a bit of time to yourself, doing a few deep breaths, making sure that you realize that you've prepared thoroughly for this exam and that you're probably going to do fairly well. And then the final thing is just to say, not that exams don't matter, because listen, I've got A-levels, GCSEs, bachelor's, PhD, masters. Like, I've been in education my whole life and I've got very good grades, but it's just to say that grades aren't everything, right? Grades don't matter completely for your life. Like, you can still get a good job with a slightly lower grade. You can still get a job without a degree. Like, you could become a YouTuber. Like, there are so many things you can do with your life. So that helps me realizing that exams aren't the be all and end all, and your grades aren't the be all and end all as well. So hopefully some of that was useful for you. Listen, you're going to be anxious though. Exams are a very anxiety inducing time, to be honest. Would you rather have hair instead of a beard? No, I like my beard and I don't care. I'm bald. Being bald is one of those things, isn't it? Which charity would you donate the cash to? I'd probably go Mind charity, which looks at mental health. Do you feel like your playing experience helps you with the eye test, and what on earth do you think is happening with Salah? It helps a little bit. Knowing football definitely helps with the eye test. What's happening with Salah? He's just lacking confidence. I think that's it. He's still getting into good opportunities. He still will convert a lot of those. But yeah, it's not great at the moment, is it? Are you from North London? No, I'm from Essex. I'm closest to East London. So there it is. Great content. Being a Let's Talk FPL fan for a long time, I had to switch here, especially for the Game Week 5 Haaland score. Well, welcome to the channel. There's plenty of excellent content creators out there, and I do not blame other people for wanting to watch other content creators. What's the fan slide code? The fan slide code is TZEBA. But if you join using the link in the description, it will automatically enter you into my league. Outside of that, yeah, it's TZEBA is the code for fan slide. Do I lose any money? What, by joining Fanslide? No, Fanslide is free to play. There are paid for versions if you like games if you want to enter, but the one we're doing is completely free. You will not lose any money, but you have the opportunity to earn £100 if you win the league. There's a £250 prize pool. I think if you finish in the top 10, it splits it based on where you finish. So if you finish in the top 10, you've got the chance to earn some money. Your channel growth has been mad. As someone who's been here since Game Week 29 last season, I'm really happy for you. I think the build up to Game Week 9 wildcard will help you. Thank you, Ben. Hopefully. And I appreciate you being here for a long time. I grew up in Enfield. I was actually born in Enfield. I was born in Hertfordshire. I was born in the same hospital as David Beckham. Fun fact. David Beckham and I were both born in Hertfordshire. What was your McDonald's order? My McDonald's order was probably 20 chicken nuggets and some chips. But I mean, I don't eat meat anymore. I'm a pescatarian now. So I would love a bacon sandwich and I would love 20 chicken nuggets. But unless it's fake bacon or vegan nuggets, then I can't. Can we get a little tutorial on how to play this fan slide? You absolutely can. In about 10 minutes, I will give a full tutorial on how to play fan slide. For now, download the app, join the league. They're the two things to do, because the quicker you get in, the quicker you can play. Make sure you do that, and then I'll go through how to play it in a second. How many trainings a week did you have at Spurs? We trained a minimum of 3 times a week, normally 2 midweek training sessions and a weekend training session, and we played once a week. Sometimes there would be a 4th training session in there. So, for example, it could be like a Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And normally the training session closest to the games, whether it be before or after, they would normally be a light training session. So mainly just doing like ball work rather than doing a lot of like matches and running around. What happens if you're growing too fast? You get growing pains and they start to reduce your load slightly. So I had a lot of growing pains and growing issues. So that was my major downfall with my injury. I used to get, it's called Osteoslatter, which is a growing pain in your kneecap, just below your knee. And also shin splints I used to get. So they just try and reduce your load if you're growing too quickly. Thoughts on depression during injuries? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. My advice would just be to make sure you interact with your players still, like your fellow teammates. That would be my major advice. I mean, so my PhD, the stuff we're doing at the moment, we're doing a lot of work with injured Premier League players. So even Premier League players that get injured still feel that same depression about being injured. So being on site and being there with your teammates can help. I think the main thing that you're depressed about is you're missing out and you feel like you've not got that social relationship with your teammates. So trying to find a way, whether that be practicing, whether that be doing different forms of training, being with a physiotherapist, making sure you're there as often as possible is probably the best. And if you're not playing professional football, just making sure you go and watch your team and stuff like that as well. There are building works going on outside my building, so I really apologize if you can hear that in the background. Fingers crossed it's not coming through too loud. It's not easy to become an FPL YouTuber or to become a YouTuber. How did you do it? Working very hard. I've worked very, very hard to grow this channel. Having a social following. So when I started this channel, I already had, I think at the time I had about 13,000 followers on Twitter. So I carried over a few followers from Twitter, which is usually quite helpful. So I would advise if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, build your platform on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. These are all these platforms that can help you to transition followers over. Good quality audio, good quality visuals, making sure you've got good graphics, making sure you've got a nice microphone. And presentation, that's pretty much the main thing. I'm not saying I'm a fantastic YouTuber with presentation. I know how to look at a camera, which is a big skill. I know how to speak without saying too much. I know how to pace my speech a little bit. I'm a little bit too quick. And yeah, it's just hard work, to be honest. And a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck, but I do work very hard on the channel. So those are some tips for you if you want to become a YouTuber. I did awful in school, never got on with academia, opted to go straight into work after school, managed to do relatively well. Don't stress, what will be, will be. Absolutely. Right, let's have a look at the Liverpool lineup and then we'll come back to some other questions because there were some good questions in there. Oh, it's a link. I wonder what it was doing there. Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk, Tsimikas. So Robertson is bench. Fabinho, Elliott, Carvalho, Diaz, Salah, Nunez. So Firmino is not playing. Jota is on the bench. Okay. I think Diaz's time is probably coming to a close, you know. I mean, it's great that he started once again, but seeing Firmino and Jota on the bench, seeing Nunez back in the starting 11, it's interesting. So the big news is Firmino's out, Darwin starts, and Robertson's benched for Tsimikas. Let's have a look if anything's interesting with the Everton starting lineup. Pickford, Patterson, Tarkowski, Cody, Mikalenko, Onana, Davies, Iwobi, Gordon, Gray, Mopay. Mopay starts. I guess that's the big one there. Outside of that, nothing that surprising. I think that's a fairly standard starting 11 for them. Mopay being in's the main one. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. As a non-Salah captain, I'm obviously not that excited, to be honest, but we'll see. This is a lot of fun getting to know you more. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. These are my favourite parts of the stream. We obviously have a lot less people now. I've only got 608. I say only. That's still a lot of people. But no, I like these parts of the stream for sure. What led you to give up meat? And someone said, what is pescatarian? So pescatarian means you don't eat meat, you only eat fish. So your diet is predominantly vegetarian with sprinkles of fish throughout. The reason for that is I care about animals and I'd rather not eat animals if I can. I care about the planet, and meat consumption is a major issue for the planet. Again, eating fish is also, but I can't do everything. So I care about the planet and I care about the animals. And also, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that actually cutting out, specifically red meat, especially if you can replace it with fish, is actually not too bad for your diet and for your body. So I've been doing it for 2.5 years. Maybe I'll go back to eating meat one day. I'm not particularly set on not eating meat. But yeah, I've been doing it for 2.5 years. Do you currently have an idea of your Game Week 9 wildcard? Please make a video. We'll discuss it in future weeks. I think it's a bit early now, but there'll be lots of Game Week 9 wildcard content. Have you finished the Mistborn trilogy? I've not. I'm about 60% of the way through book 2. So, no. I'm probably just over halfway through the trilogy. They're very long, the books, aren't they? So, do you have any tips on how to manage your time whilst in an academy? Not really, no. I didn't have a great social life because I was so focused on school and I was so focused on being in an academy that I actually found it pretty difficult. So, no, not particularly. I mean, you just got to think about what's important to you. If the academy is important to you, you have to focus on that. Make sure don't neglect school, though, because there's a very high chance when you're in an academy that you won't make it as a professional footballer, so don't neglect school. It probably has to end up being your social life that you neglect, but that's up to you if that's what's important to you, to be honest. By far my favourite FPL channel. Thanks for helping me finish in the top 100k last season. Thank you very much, Jonathan, and congratulations. Aren't fish animals too? Yes, fish are animals too. And yes, fishing is a major issue for the planet too. Again, it's step by step. Maybe one day I'll be able to give up fish. Yes, fish is meat, but I mean, I'm not eating meat outside fish. So I'm not eating chicken, beef, pork, turkey, all that stuff. This part of the stream is lovely. Aside from FPL, you seem like a really nice dude. Thank you very much. That's kind of you to say. Fish life matter. Fish lives do matter, and I would love to stop eating fish as well, but I don't. My diet would be very, 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 very bad if I didn't eat fish. Milk comes from the same place. Meat comes from. A lot of people consume milk. Yeah, that's true, but I tend to have almond milk anyway, so. I wonder if the fan slide teams are up. Let's have a look if we can start doing our fan slide team. Yes, right, cool. Let's do fan slide then. So let me plug in my phone. Let's then move over to, where is it? So you are now on FPL Raptors phone. I don't know why every time I plug my phone in, it says 9:41. The time's definitely not 9:41. So we're about to play fan slide. So if you've not yet downloaded it and you are in a country where you can, use the link in the description. It's the first link in the description. That will enter you into my league, and it will also enter you into, as you can see, FPL Mate, FPL Raptor, FPL Focal, FPL Heisenberg. There are a few big accounts. We're doing a combined money league for Liverpool versus Everton. So it's completely free to enter, completely free to join Fanslide. There is 18 plus. It is 18 plus because there are paid for versions. Please, obviously, be gamble aware if you are going to pay for any of the tournaments. But for this one, if you just go onto Fanslide once you've downloaded it, right? So you can see that's me. I've got an 88.6 rating, which is very good, right? So if you go on to games and then click on Everton versus Liverpool and then click on play the game, right? There are the paid ones, but if you just go continue with no money tables, as long as you're in my league, you'll be entered into the £250 prize pool league as well. So continue with no money tables. Then if you just give it sort of 5 seconds, it will load up with your single, double, and triple spot, right? So essentially, the idea of this game is that you swipe players in and out throughout the game, and you try and earn as much money as possible. So if I just go to the Academy section and how to play, you basically slide players in and out throughout the game, right? And you can keep tabs with how many points they're getting you throughout the game at the top. And what you basically want to do is monitor the live events. And if a player looks like they're going to score coming up, or you think a player's going to keep a clean sheet, or a player's making a lot of tackles, you can slide that player in for up to 20 minutes. And you can feel free to slide them out as well. The important thing is you only have 3 free slides per half. So you can't just swipe them in and out constantly throughout. You have to be tactical about when you're going to pick certain players and when you're going to slide them in and out, right? And you can also switch them from double to triple, from triple to double, etc. as well. And the interesting thing about Fanslide is that the point scoring system, if you go onto the Academy section, as you can see here, is very advanced, right? So it's a very advanced point scoring system. You get for saves, clearances, interceptions, tackles, corners won, goalkeeper sweeper, hitting the woodwork, goalkeeper smother. Like, there are loads and loads and loads of ways to get points. So what you do at the start, if we go back to games, we go back to the Everton-Liverpool game, is you start with 3 players that you think will do well at the start of the game. Now, the most important thing to know is that if a player keeps a clean sheet for the 20 minutes that you own them, you get 5 points, right? So you get a 5-point clean sheet. So if you have someone in the treble points and they keep a clean sheet for the first 20-minute games, just with clean sheets alone, they'll get you 15 points, which is quite massive. So what I tend to do is start the game with 3 defenders that I think will keep a clean sheet. So if you think Everton will not concede for the first 20 minutes, if you think it'll be a fairly slow start for Liverpool, You could start with 3 Everton defenders and then switch them out, right? If you think that Liverpool are going to start on fire, score loads of goals, maybe you start with Liverpool attackers. Or if you think it's going to be maybe like 1-0 to Liverpool and Trent's going to get an attacking return, you start with Trent. So you basically have to think about what you back, right? How do you think the start of the game is going to go? So for me, I don't want to back and let Everton clean sheet. I think Liverpool could start on fire. So I'm going to go Tsimikas in double points. I'm going to go Trent in triple points. And then I might go for like a midfielder. Maybe Carvalho. Because what you've got to think with Carvalho is not going to get the full game. So I don't want to wait until later to play Carvalho. I want to play him earlier. So at the moment, I'm thinking Tsimikas and Trent in triple and Carvalho in single. So that's what I'm going to do. Ross, is it possible to move a player between 1, 2, 3 without sliding out a player? I've tried, but it doesn't work. Only if that slot is free. So you can't like switch them around, but if the slot is free, I think you can go from triple to double. I think. I haven't actually tried that myself, though. That's a good question. I tend to just either keep them in or I slide them out completely. I don't tend to switch them around too often. What is the camera that you're shooting from? It's a Sony ZV-1. The link's in the description. It's a Sony ZV-1. You have to win against FPL mate. I will definitely beat FPL mate. I'll definitely beat Oscar and mate. So as you can see, this is the way it's going to look, by the way. Once you've joined my league, there's a thing at the bottom which says table lobby, right, bottom right of the screen. Where is it? I'm pointing the wrong way. Just at the bottom of the screen, it says table lobby there. If you click on that, you can see it will enter you into the global table. You'll be entered into my league if you join via TZEBA. And you'll also be entered into the FPL battle table here. So there's already 88 people in there, but there is only 88. So you've got a good chance of winning £100 here. So yeah, you should be entered into those 3 naturally, into my FPL Raptor League, the global table, and also the FPL battle table, the £250 prize pool. Okay, so that's the way I think I'm going to start. This is free to play, yeah, but there are paid for versions on the app. So because of that, it's 18+. Because of that, please do be gamble aware. But I will only be promoting to you guys free games. I will not be asking you to join anything that costs money to pay. So the one that I'm doing today is completely free. But obviously, if you do enjoy it, feel free to do the paid for versions as well. Right. Cool. I think we'll leave Fanslide there for now then. Let's switch back there. We catch up with the chat. If you knew you would become a successful YouTuber, would you put the same effort in school? Yes, but I think what I did in school has put me in a good position right now to be a successful YouTuber, like dedication, organization, stuff like that. So yeah, and YouTube is not forever, to be honest. There's a good chance that my YouTube channel flops at some point and you guys stop watching me. So or something happens with FPL. So it's not a particularly stable income. It's not a particularly stable career path, but there's still a good chance I become a full-time YouTuber for sure. Ross, your little beard is so silky smooth. What products do you use? Papaya extract, I bet. No, it's quite short, so I don't actually put that much in it. I basically use the Bulldog beard conditioner. So I put a little bit of that in, and then sometimes some beard oil. But it's because it's quite short, it doesn't actually work very well for my beard, putting oil in. I'm not in the UK. Do I need another version? No, that is the version. Unfortunately, it's not available in every country. So yeah. It's crazy how at the start of last season, you just started YouTube and now you have 30,000 subscribers. It is mad. When I started my YouTube channel, my goal was at the end of the first season. So at the end of my first season, which was last season, I was really hopeful that I would hit 1,000 subscribers. That was my goal, 1,000. We finished the season with 15,000 subscribers. And then already this season, since the end of last season, we've doubled our subscriber count, which is madness. It's madness. How many subs are we on now? Are we at 29,000 yet? Not quite. We're 70 subscribers off 20. If you want to subscribe, please do. We're 70 subscribers off 29,000. Ross, do you think I can get an ATAR of 99.5? What do you mean an ATAR? What's an ATAR? Should I know what that means? I don't know what that means. How's gym going, Ross? Gym is going very well at the moment. I'm currently still in a bulk, so I'm still eating a lot of food. I've lost a little bit of definition, but I've put on a good bit of muscle mass. So, yeah, gym's going very, very well. Thank you very much for asking. I will be going to the gym later today. Today is leg day, so I will be doing some squats today. How did you come up with your YouTube name? I am a Toronto Raptors fan, very casual. I don't follow the NBA as closely as I'd like to anymore. But yeah, I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, so that was why. I was just sat there one late night. I was creating my Twitter account, and obviously when you create a Twitter account, you need to be like FPL something or something FPL. And I was checking out, and there was like everything was taken. And I thought Raptor's a pretty cool name. I like the idea of being called Raptor. I think FPL Raptor sounds pretty sick. So that was that. 40,000 subs by the end of the season. Maybe, mate. Last month, we gained 8,600 subscribers last month. So if we gain 8,600 subscribers this month, I'll hit 40,000 in a couple of months. A very optimistic target for me is 50,000 subscribers by the end of the season, but we'll see. You will never flop. Your mind is only matched by your personality, and quite honestly, I can listen to you all day long. Thank you so much, Gay. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. When you say we about your YouTube, does that mean there are others behind the scene? Yeah, I've got like 50 people all doing things. No joking. Nana Raptor's just sat there editing all of my videos constantly. No, when I say we, I mean you guys. When I say we've done this and we've achieved this, it means me plus you, right? I couldn't do this without you guys. So it seems a bit selfish of me to say I've achieved this, I've done that. Yeah, I think we've achieved this, right? ATAR is like A-levels, but for Australia. Oh, then I've got no idea. Sorry, I've got absolutely no idea what to do, how all of that works in Australia. Gets all hot and bothered about the thought of Ross doing the squats. Ask the grass as well. The deep squats, you got to do it. What's your PR bench squat deadlift? Do you want my all-time PR or my current PR? Because I used to work out quite a lot when I was 21, but then I stopped going to the gym. I'll give you my current PR, which is potentially slightly embarrassing. My current PR bench is 85 kilos. Worth bearing in mind that I weigh 75 kilos, so it's over my body weight. 85 kilo bench. My squat is 120, which is very, very weak, and my deadlift is 140. So 85, 120, 140. But my all-time PRs are well higher than that. But it's just I haven't been to the gym in a while. Ross, what is your game ID? The only reason I ask is I check you, Andy, Oscar, and Mate every week. 5431, I think. 5431, I think. What split do you use at the gym? Personally, I use PPL and Arnold. I use PPL as well. So I usually go to the gym 6 times a week and I use PPL twice. So currently today's legs, tomorrow is pull. Your voice is so soothing. Been building a piece of IKEA furniture for the past 3 hours. You're not the first person to tell me that. I didn't think my voice was soothing, but there we go. I have been requested to do some ASMR stuff. I don't think that's going to be happening, to be honest, but we'll see. I can whisper to the microphone if it makes people happy. Hi there. I recently subbed to your channel. I liked the last game week stream. You opened up about your research and who you are away from the screen. You're an inspiration. Cheers. Thank you, Owen. I am very open with you guys. I like to be as open as I can. I feel like it's nice for you guys. If you want to sit down and watch 3 or 4 of my videos every week, I feel like it's nice for you guys to know more about me, rather than me just being this random figure that you see on your screen. So there we go. Do people outside of Liverpool care about the Merseyside derby? Is this just another game for you? I don't really care about it, to be honest, but I will watch it still regardless, especially as I'm playing Fanslide. That squat is good, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't tend to squat too heavy anyway because my knees are a bit funny, so I have to wear knee sleeves, and today I'll probably be squatting 90 kilos. I can't imagine I'll go above 100 kilos. I just prefer not to push it on a squat. Deadlift and bench, I'll push it pretty far. But yeah, squat, I tend to not push. Do you like playing other games such as COD, GTL, FIFA? Yeah, Call of Duty's always been one of my favourites, and FIFA 2, career mode, Ultimate Team. But just due to this FPL YouTube channel, and I'm not complaining at all, but this takes like 40 hours a week of my time. So I don't really have time. If you consider I go to the gym in most evenings, I'm doing a PhD, I'm lecturing, I'm also like a personal tutor at university as well. I've got all of these responsibilities. And then I spend like 40 hours a week making YouTube content. Then you've got to think, I've got like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. I have to respond to comments from everyone across those 5 platforms. Basically, I don't have much time to gain anymore. So gaming's sort of gone out the window for me in recent years. Do you live in Liverpool? No, I don't live in Liverpool. I live in Nottingham. What's your favourite colour and why? I don't really have a favourite colour. To wear, it's like grey, which is really boring, but I just like grey. I don't really have a favourite colour, Marcus. Good question, though. Probably to wear, it'd be like grey and black, right? What music do you listen to when working out? Mainly rap music, UK drill. I need something that's fairly upbeat. Your content is the only thing keeping me sane in the hospital at the moment. Currently at Royal London, recovering from surgery on a brain tumour. Lying flat for the past week has been so boring. I'm so sorry to hear that, mate, but just delighted that you're okay and you're talking, I guess. Let's put some hearts in the chat for that. And I'm glad that I can help you out. Drop me a DM if you want to chat, by the way, on Twitter, or drop me an email. If you want to chat and you want someone to keep you company whilst you're there, just let me know and I'll do my best. But yeah, thinking of you, mate. Thinking of you. If you could read the IKEA instructions, that'd be much more helpful than ASMR whispering. Yeah, send them over. I'll just read out the IKEA instructions on this stream. 40 hours, yeah. I spend a long time on my YouTube videos, but it's because I'm dedicated to making the best content I can. Organize a FIFA tournament, yeah, maybe one day. You seem to have a very busy life. Yeah, I do. I do. There's no two ways about that. I do. You need a PA. I definitely don't earn enough money to hire anyone quite yet. You almost see this time after a deadline as a bit of a break. Yeah, I feel like I'm relaxing now on stream, which is crazy. Who do you support? I support Manchester United. Do you have an Instagram account? I do. Do you know what? I'd like more people to follow my Instagram. Can everyone that's watching this follow my Instagram? I'm posting more like personal stuff on Instagram now. I'm not posting... I'm not necessarily posting that much FPL content, but yeah, I just post stuff about my more personal stuff. So if you enjoy the personal aspects of these streams, let me chuck it in the chat. Please drop me a follow on Instagram. There'll be more personal stuff throughout the year and stuff like that. Pancakes, waffles, or French toast? Oh, that's a good question. French toast. How did you come up with the color scheme for the channel? The guy that originally made my Raptor badge just put together orange and gray. And I was like, that's a bit of a weird combo, but I really liked it. And so due to my logo being like that orange and gray color, I just thought, you know what, let me just make the rest of the channel that theme as well. And I think it's nice that my channel is slightly different to everyone else. I think it's nice that I've not got exactly the same color scheme as everyone else. I think it mixes it up a bit. How many points do you have overall? I need to know how bad I'm doing. I've got 371 points. Calvin Phillips captained Haaland. Does that mean anything? Well, he captained Haaland last week and Haaland started, but no, I wouldn't read too much into it, but maybe that's a slight sign. Who is your favourite artist, music-wise? Probably Dave. Santan, Dave, that is. You're definitely not the UK drill target market. What a guy. Yeah, if you spoke to me and you watched my streams, you probably wouldn't imagine that I listen to UK drill. What do you think about the pedestrianisation of Norwich City Centre? What a question that is. Crazy, Marcus. What team do you support? Manchester United, we did that. Why not a Forest fan, or are you just studying there? Yeah, I'm not from Nottingham. I'm doing my PhD and I'm lecturing at Nottingham. So that's why I live in Nottingham. So that's why I don't support Nottingham Forest. When do you even sleep, Ross? Yeah, I've not been getting a lot of sleep lately. I need to get more sleep, to be honest. But there it is. It's one of those things. It's definitely not worth sacrificing your sleep, but sometimes I can't help it. Did the academies you were in teach tactical information in a classroom environment like the Italians do? Yes, we did. What is your long-term plan with the channel, Ross? Have you thought that far ahead? Just to continue to deliver quality content to you guys. That's all I can do at the moment. Obviously, I'd love to go full-time, but the thing is, I'm doing a PhD and I've got a lecturing position and I've got a contract for the next 3 years. So my PhD ends in 3 years. And as part of my PhD, I lecture. So I'm employed by the university. So I can't go full-time YouTube for at least 3 years. So my plan is to spend the next 3 years continuing to deliver quality content to you guys. If you continue to watch and you guys continue to enjoy the content I'm delivering, then maybe at the end of the 3 years, and if this channel's on, I don't know, like 100,000 subscribers or something crazy, then yeah, maybe I'll go full time. But for now, I'm just enjoying creating the content and just doing the best job I can for you guys. How do you make time for your wifey? I don't have a wifey. There you go. Nice and simple. I'm not in a relationship. I'm single. It'd be very difficult to do what I do if I wasn't single, to be fair. It would have to be a very non-needy partner that has their own thing going on. That would be the only way that I could be with someone right now. I haven't met such a wholesome human like yourself. Big up to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I take 15 hours to make one video. Editing and shooting can be fun. How can I be fun? That is crazy, 15 hours. Lucky FPL doesn't take 15 hours. FPL is a lot quicker than that. Like, I can get an FPL video done. The quickest I can get an FPL video done is maybe, with graphics included, is about 2.5, 3 hours. Maybe 2 hours, maybe just under 2 hours. I've got a video done before, like a really quick one. But the longer videos, Game Week preview videos, take me north of 6 hours. Have you ever bumped into Mark Goldbridge? No, I haven't. Have you ever had a Nutella pizza? Again, no, I haven't. Oh, is that a Partridge fan? No, I'm not a Partridge fan. Apologies. I missed the joke there. Is 62.5 kilo bench, 80 kilo squat, and 110 deadlift good for age 14? Currently pushing for a bench PR. Have you got any tips? That is ridiculously good, mate. For 14, that's good for an adult. Bench press wise, there's two things you can do. You can put on weight. The heavier you are, the better your bench press will be. My camera's just gone. That's just died. Put on weight, and the second thing is just work on accessory sort of exercises. So chest flies, tricep dips, stuff like that. Work on things that will build up your tricep and your chest separately. Right, I'm gonna call it there then because my camera's just died battery-wise. It tends to last exactly 3 hours, which is perfect because these streams tend to last exactly 3 hours as well. Make sure you download Fanslide. Make sure you join our league for £250 as well. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate you all being here for the entirety of the stream. Make sure to tune into the content next week for Game Week 7, and we are fast approaching the wild card as well. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.